Friday. We're going to get a few important data points coming up this morning. Just make a note, coming up at 10 o'clock this morning, we'll get University of Michigan sentiment, another inflation reading to come in that release. We'll also get existing home sales coming up at 10 o'clock this morning as well. A few Fed speakers coming through today, also on the back of what has happened throughout this entire week. Could be interesting as far as comments from the overall market. Here is the Nasdaq currently back to the upside right now. We're back to about 610, but had a bit of a dip early on, trying to make that back right now. That's a weekly time frame, so you can see we're just chopping around here as we head into the end of the year. A couple of individual names moving around this morning. Oracle, what a week it's been. What a couple of weeks it's been for Oracle, trying to bounce back here this morning on this TikTok ByteDance news. ByteDance signing a letter of intent essentially to hand over TikTok US to a group that includes Oracle. So Oracle's been down, it's been up, it's been back and forth all week long. Here we are back to the upside this morning. NVIDIA back to the upside this morning a little bit. CoreWeave deal to talk about. We have that MDLN moving around. I saw a little bit this morning once again, although volume has fallen off quite significantly since the IPO day. But at the end of what's been a pretty important week here for the overall market, more inflation data to come. I think that'll be the key here at 10.
Yeah, and a lot was made about that 2.7% print yesterday, Brendo. Some parts of the October inflation were not included. Apparently, there were certain categories that had zeros next to them. You know, we'll have to wait and see whether it's more political or whether there's actually substance to the claim that we really should, you know, not look at the 2.7% print there. There's a whole lot to talk about. NVIDIA included, more H200 talk out of there as the export license review process continues to happen under the Trump administration. We're also looking at Nike, as you were mentioning there, looking like very, very weak. It's really a China story as they're not direct to consumer, actually. It's doing okay in China. It's more of their wholesale jump. You mentioned Oracle CoreWeave as well, joining the Department of Energy's Genesis mission. Meta looking to expand their multimodal LLM to be able to have, you know, images, audio, and video, kind of catching up with the others as they look to that new avocado.
Yeah, good deal for CoreWeave. Definitely trying to get a bit of a bounce back here for CRWV. Nike at session lows right now, as you mentioned, pretty ugly move right out of the gate after the close yesterday. Just nothing but downside. It was funny on that inflation note. When that came out yesterday morning and we reported it initially, you and I looked at each other and we were kind of like, wait a minute.
Wow.
I mean, like, we've been doing this a while now.
Exactly.
And I can't remember the last time there was that big of a downside print when it came to inflation. So,
and the timing of that, Brendo, I mean, he had just given a primetime speech on the affordability crisis. A lot of it was speaking about that. He touted his accomplishments as well. I'm not questioning.
Not saying, just saying.
Yeah, I'm just not saying. I'm like, hey, the timing's there. And Brendo, we would be absolutely remiss if we didn't mention that PDD is up almost 8%. And we looked pretty deeply as to why, and the only thing we can find here is there is some sort of government scrutiny with some of the company representatives there, which resulted in a fistfight taking place. So I don't know if this fight's going to cause some stock like this to move up 8%. We may need to see more fights on the street, Brenda.
Yeah, I mean, you got to stick up for your job, I guess, or stick up for your business. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's worth noting. I just pulled up BABA here. BABA also to the upside this morning. So there is general strength maybe from some of these Chinese e-commerce names right across the board to look at as well. Randy's, I didn't see Randy. If he is here, maybe you can swing by. But there's another Ford recall.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
The weekly 273,000 vehicles on a parking function, or I guess it's a software issue, park function software issue. I'm sure it's not a huge thing to fix, but where's Randy when you need him?
I know when you need him, right?
Anyways, Obi's in for Sean this morning. Good morning, guys.
Morning, yes. Good morning, everybody. the Pinduoduo story, like, they win. That's catalyst of the year. Fist fight. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I was telling Sharif, it's like investors are probably like, you know, this company can stand up for itself, so we're buying more. Right?
I mean, there's something to be
just
said.
A theory.
If negotiations aren't working,
yeah, exactly.
You have to have more aggressive negotiations, and that's just what it has to be. The other thing that happened overnight, of course, is the Bank of Japan deciding to raise rates. The USD JPY is gapped up for sure. So you can watch. We don't usually watch this too often, but you did see a pretty big reaction in U.S. yen index. The other thing that you got to track, of course, is Bitcoin. Everybody, crypto is crazy the last couple of sessions. Realistically, I'm going to actually pull up spot so you can see the exact prices we're going back and forth with here, because we bounced pretty cleanly off of that 85. Pretty cleanly off the 85 level. We've been rejecting underneath 90 and just bouncing back and forth. So we're gapped up here again on BTC. But overall, the trend has not been good. If you looked at the afternoon yesterday, there were two things that really, really stood out. Right? Obviously, Bitcoin had a big move. Look at things like BMNR, but then it was also the weed names. So we'll talk a little bit. I'm looking at specifically TLRY today, but MSOS, not the headline everyone was looking for, unfortunately. So some of the CBD names should be okay, but MSOS taking it on the chin, TLRY take it on the chin yesterday, CGC, all these names just completely bled, going right into the close and pretty much right up in the close, closing on the absolute low. So there's going to be a lot in play, and then we have witching today, triple witching today, index rebalancing. Carvana goes into the index tonight, the S&P 500. So that should be, we'll see, it might be a big imbalance. You will see when we pull up the locator, everybody, this morning, as we get closer to the open, you're probably going to see bigger numbers than normal. Like already, XOM's like 1.4 million to sell, and it's 8 o'clock. PCG's in here, NEE 900,000 shares, and this is an hour and a half before the open. So there's going to be some serious volume. Sometimes it means excess volatility. Sometimes it means a lot of chop at the open on a day like today.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's something to go back with that MSOS and some of the marijuana sector moves there. I was saying, yeah, we ran up pretty decently into Thursday, and we knew that the president was going to do some potential announcing of rescheduling of it, about a 90% push, right, all the way from December 11th. That's the last Thursday. And yeah, maybe a little bit of a sell the news event, perhaps, right? Because it may be a little too far, too fast. But yeah, that 30% drop was pretty interesting. The selling started before anything really was said. Yeah. So I was like, all right, talk about a front run. But it was holding VWAP really well, halted down pretty nicely. And then even if you weren't involved in any of this chop here, take a look at this breakdown right here. I think this was the key spot to really slam it in right there. 5.5 does not even look back, and then we close below 5s going into the end of the day. So yeah, MSOS definitely on watch today. Very, very interesting price action, and take a look at some of the relative volume that came in as well. Only about 2 times, but with the amount of volume this thing's been doing, you can see yesterday, average volume 16 million, but doing very decent volume over the past few days. So coming into this Friday, maybe we get a bounce, maybe we get a reversion. Was the sell-off too far, too fast? I have no idea, but definitely one of the top names on watch.
MSOS fell further than some of the individual.
Yeah,
that's the thing I looked at today. Like you could look at MSOS, but I'm figuring in on TLRY particularly because TLRY and CGC didn't fill the entirety of the gap in. But another name that I see on board, Mimi Petros is mentioning, it's a good morning for DJT. Apparently the fusion business is a good business, or maybe it'll be a good business for them. That was the story yesterday. They're gapped up again today. Do I think they can boot? Like, you're probably not going to have, let's be real, you're not going to have the day today that it had yesterday, breaking from like $11 all the way into like 15, breaking 15 late, now another 3.5%. So they've merged with a fusion company. Obviously, this is not the first change that DJT has made. Why? Because they went from a media company to crypto to fintech and now to fusion energy. Why not? It's always about adapting. There's not too much froth at all in these markets. And here's another thing. I meant to show this yesterday. I'm going to show this to you guys here today. So there's a website. I'm not affiliated with these guys or at all, and I'm not here to promote Alpha Rank, whatnot. But like, this is basically, these guys talk about a lot. They're resource for deals that happen in the market, whether it's mergers and acquisitions or SPACs. But one thing that I've noted, and I see on this, I check it out every single day, see what deal action there might be. Like you see like Warner Brothers rejects P-Sky, tender offer. But look, a couple of days ago on the 17th, a couple of SPAC IPOs. And then yesterday, 3 SPAC IPOs. I haven't even refreshed it for this morning yet because, there's another one this morning, another SPAC IPO. So in the last 3 days, 8 SPAC IPOs. Oh yeah, nothing frothy about that whatsoever. All these SPACs coming in, and we were talking about they're back. And these are like SPAC companies IPOing, not when they have a deal. So this is something that's coming right back into the realm. Markets off the highs. It's the kind of thing that makes me feel a little bit frothy. Brent, Sharif, both of you guys, what are your thoughts? Because I'm telling you right now, anecdotally, I'm seeing way more SPACs on that website on a daily basis, probably twice as many each week previous to the last couple of months. Does that feel frothy to you?
Environment than round one of SPAC land, but it's definitely notable, I think, at this time. I mean, the negative context and the negative reaction and results that came from SPAC time round one should be enough to maybe warn investors. But I mean, overall, the picture, I think, is different right now.
Remember, it felt like SPACs during 2020 and 2021 were like, almost like the AI trade. There was like a cyclical tailwind. Yeah. But I think that it's a little bit different this time around, Breno. I think that the costs of going to market through the regular route, through the IPO route, is prohibitively expensive. You got to get, obviously, one of these banks who's got to underwrite the entire thing. Then you're soliciting investors to kind of invest at the IPO stage. So I think it's a more direct route and one more that's financially feasible.
If anyone wasn't around for the initial I guess it was 2021, 2022 was like the most busy time for SPACs the first time around. A SPAC is essentially a shell. They come public with a shell with the promise of going out and finding a business that they will then merge with that shell to go public via SPAC. So that's how that works. It's, let's just say, didn't end well for most of them the first time around. Look at Virgin as one of those. I was just reading this note on, quickly, did you have more on that?
The one that really, I feel like the ones that actually did well are very much the exception as opposed to the rule,
Definitely.
like SoFi.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
You can't say
there were a
so
few.
many, right?
There were a few. Good point.
Yeah.
PanW popped up here. There's no volume at all behind this, but PanW up nicely on a note involving Google. So Google and Palo Alto announcing an expanded partnership that one source is saying was by far Google Cloud's largest security service deal ever. So PanW trying to get going here. It just had another little push to the upside. Very, very low volume, but I don't remember the first time around for that pairing, but apparently it's an expanded partnership, PanW and Google here.
Yeah, this is an I'm involved in, Brendo, one that's frustrating to hold. It's more developed than some of its competitors, I like the likes of CrowdStrike and Zscaler, even Net. But here's what the headline reads here. So Google and PanW announced an expanded partnership that one source told Reuters was by far, as you mentioned, Google's largest security services deal. It's approaching the sum of around $10 billion over the next several years. Executives in both companies declined to give specific comments, but we know a sizable portion of that $10 billion is going to be going to add new services involving artificial intelligence. You like that because on a two-sided, it's more of a two-sided equation, right? AI certainly helps with the cybersecurity side in terms of the security side, but it also makes the hacking a bit more easier as you can now vibe code, you can do many different things, especially, Brendo, a lot of these Chinese LLMs have less filters than the North American ones. So if you're looking to do anything nefarious, a lot of people are going on those and they don't have as many safeguards. I'll just leave it at that.
DeepSeek. just throwing that out there. 190 now coming into play here for PanW, guys. Again, not a lot of volume behind this, but I mean, decent move. $5 already to the upside here.
Decent move. You've seen the cybersecurity names one by one when they reported this recent quarter just get picked off and all have pretty much negative reactions despite any of their beats, mostly because they're incredibly pricey. But for all of the reasons that Sharif said, they get a premium because everybody understands. Well, I mean, the market understands is what I should say. The market sort of understands that they're absolutely necessary. And if you start to think about where like big corporations would cut back on spend, probably not here. And I think that's what the market's telling you most of the time, because they get bought right back up on any dips after earnings. And they've already set the level here at about 180 to 185 on PanW. And so I think you've got some continuation here today. I don't know if I want to put this one on the list here. There's the daily chart. I don't know if you guys were looking at that before. But there's your clear support level after their earnings report. And now you've double bottomed here. Yeah, this is obviously a key level. It's the volume that makes this not much of a day trade. I mean, normally, I'd say look at the little rounded bottom action. You got some maybe play off 188 or so, or maybe some prior highs if you could get it. But really, really light volume here on PanW. So I'm going to go with this. I'm going to stay away. The thing about triple witching, because remember, there's no quad witching anymore. But you can always tell how long someone's traded in the market because they'll say quad witching if they've been around a long time. But it's just triple witching. On a triple witching day, you're going to have a lot of things do good volume. In pre-market, at the open. So you shouldn't really have to pick and choose or find something that's low liquidity or lower liquidity and is second best. Like those are the ones that you really want to let them hash themselves out in the first 10 to 15 minutes. I'd put PanW into that category because there's not enough volume for you to have any levels to really work off yet.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with the move that's happening right now is like, okay, we can just look at how the week started. The week started right here at 191s with some aggressive selling. Again, yeah, the market also sold off Friday and Monday as well. But yeah, it's coming up into that weekly high price. So the question becomes, are we going to be making a little bit of a hammer? We've already made a bottom wick right here, technically, if we're going to open up in and around this 190. So yeah, if we can push past some of this weekly open prices on 191, yeah, PanW looking pretty decent as well here. But yeah, some of these other names definitely on watch. That are probably, I think, definitely better opportunities. But PanW could definitely become into something if we keep eyes on it. But yeah, that 191 going to be very, very interesting. Market's already kind of started to sell off coming into the open here, but we still have about an hour left. We can see here a little bit of a flush down into 5280s here, pulling back into some of these prior structures from the overnight session here. This was a bit of a chop yesterday, a little bit of a chop fest. We stayed within range yesterday's price action on both the Nasdaq and the ES. So it should be interesting to see what we do if we do come back into prior day's lows going into the end of the week.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Because and you'll probably find this on when we get to the watch list, like the number one story on our free watch list is going to be, Oracle's been moving around and they're up there on this TikTok headline. Yeah. They finally get they need a good headline. But you were looking, anything you gleaned, I know you were looking at a Blue Ocean.
Yeah, Blue Ocean was
the overnight market. So
yeah,
is there anything from the trading last night in Oracle that could be of use to anybody looking to trade Oracle today?
Sure, yeah, I think we can take a look at it. Let's pull up some of that Blue Ocean action, because I was definitely surfing some of these waves here on Oracle. This was pretty interesting. So I was watching it, didn't really get the long. So this is the open at around 8 p.m. You can see a nice little chop. It started to do some decent volume, but take a look at this. When it starts to break, I guess, the day high here in around 191s, it really gets going with some decent volume. It got all the way up to 193.40s. That was the overnight high there, and a beautiful reversion back down into VWAP. I guess it broke down even further, but I didn't stay up till 3 a.m. That's when it retraced to those opening range lows here, 190. So should be interesting today. I'm watching that 193.40 high, but Oracle, let's see what it did on the reaction last night. In the after hours, you can see it went all the way to 191. See, we haven't touched 193s in any of the, I guess, after hours or pre-market session just yet, but 192.40s is that wick high on the 4 a.m. candle. We've kind of dwindled all the way back down below 190. So that 190 to 193 going to be interesting. If we get back into that range, I have a bit of a target. Let's see if it kind of pushes back up into that 193. I don't know. But some of these pre-market levels are looking interesting. And we are doing some decent relative volume. We're doing about almost 2 times relative volume here. So pre-market ranges are definitely going to be important to me, and some of these after hours highs and lows as well. Let's see if we can break back above 190. Maybe we look for a bid, any sort of reasons to buy, maybe take inventory into and through 193. If the market is also on our side, if we have that tailwind, then it could be potentially smooth sailing. But overnight in the Blue Ocean session, it was pretty nice.
Another
we
thing
got
to
both
pay,
sides, right?
Well, in addition to Blue Ocean overnight markets, another thing to pay attention to, of course, on this particular Friday, being the 3rd Friday of the month, is options. Options expirations today. So that should yield a lot of opportunities and some good insight from Joey Options himself.
Good morning and happy Friday, everyone. I hope everyone had a fantastic day yesterday and a good start to this morning. All right, guys, let's see what we got going on from yesterday's activity. Some interesting stuff here. We have MSOS, guys, at that $6 level. Yes, that is correct. Open interest sitting around 26,300 at volume 22,900. And then DJT, Sharif was trading this one yesterday, caught a couple of breakouts, so we had to put it on the list because this name was definitely in play. The volume was there, and the options volume was there as well too, guys. So 5,000 contracts traded at that $20 level. Open interest, I mean, this is an out-of-the-money contract substantially, so just keep that in mind, guys. Open interest at that specific zone, still 32,700. And RIVN, Rivian, guys, at that $22 level, volume 12,200, and open interest at 25,200. Now, as for Neil talking about OPEX today, there's going to be a lot of activity, and if you go to the more liquid names, and I'm referring to the Apples, the NVIDIAs, the Microsoft, and obviously the SPY and the Qs, you're going to see substantial volume out of the gate. Just keep an eye out on that. There's going to be millions of shares traded, so keep an eye on that first 5-minute print. Now, as for this specific contract, guys, MU Micron, strike price 260. We're going to get into something here momentarily, just how a decay really affects contracts, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the volume open interest first. Volume sitting around 38,800 with open interest around 11,900, and that's going to be expiring today. You can see that there's a $5 spread, so and it's not relatively expensive, right? Delta extremely cool because it's an extremely out-of-the-money contract, and you have almost no gamma exposure, but you can see the implied volatility is increased. Now, we're gonna do a little bit of a comparison here to the actual chart of this from a equity standpoint, and then to the options contract. All right. So I found this extremely interesting, and for those who are like, oh, well, it just doesn't make sense. Why aren't my options contracts making any money? Well, let's take a quick look into this. So we're gonna use November 10th as an example. This is when the options contract peaked, around $24.72. In options terms, $2,400.72. We're going to go over to November 10th here, but the stock isn't at its high, but yet the contract was at its high. Now, if we go from where that previous high was to where we're currently trading at, we're down 1.65%. So if you're just owning the shares, you're down 1.65%. But if you were to continuously hold this contract, you go from $24 to 28 cents. You've lost 98% of that contract's value, and the stock is still trading around its highs. That's the effect of theta.
As always, mic drop by Joey Options. More colorfully said by Others Inc. in the chat, but Joey friggin' Options. That's what's up, brother. Micron, of course, has got to be in play. They blew it out on earnings. Like it was a series of beats. The guide was fantastic. I think the guide was like 30%, maybe about 30% higher on the revenue side for the next Q, but it didn't matter. It still failed the highs. So it couldn't bust out, and that's been a bit of a theme. Right? Like how many breakouts are we seeing after earnings recently, especially in the tech space and, of course, in the AI space, which is driving pretty much everything. So while you unquestionably have some supply issues when it comes to memory, the demand is there. It still feels like we're getting a little bit frothy. And my play for this yesterday might come into play today because yesterday I said if Micron tried to break out or got to that high, I knew where I wanted to go, and it's SanDisk. Because why fight if you think it's frothy, if you think it's toppish, if you think that there could be a turnaround, then go to the name that's weaker in the space. Go to the name that's already looking like it's on the back end of a parabolic move. And SNDK looks like that's already happening to me. So if Micron fails the high, then I feel like on sympathy alone, maybe we get into some resistance today on SanDisk. I don't know if we press to that 40. It's a long way to go. Maybe even just to 30. I just want to see any kind of a failed break on Micron. This is, to me, the short. And if it does continue, there's a long way for this to go. I was comparing this chart to like Abercrombie and Finch a couple of years ago. Compare it to Bloom Energy. If you've seen that parabolic move reverse, it's just when something looks like this. I know you love when these things come go the other way, they're OB as well. But when you go absolutely parabolic to the upside, just accelerate, accelerate, accelerate. When you start finding the back end of the trade, like there's your head and shoulders, now you're breaking down, you tend to see a rather long and continuous move on the back end. And I think SanDisk it's right there ready to do it. Probably needs Micron to lead the way before you get that pullback.
Kind of reminds me of Palantir almost. Now, Palantir hasn't done the unwind just yet, but when it does, it should be very interesting as well. But yeah, no, that Micron, have you seen some of these DDR5 prices? Absolutely crazy, insane. I'm so glad I built my computer a couple of years ago, and it's crazy, some of these prices. But what was even more crazier off of the open on Micron was that wipe. I really did think this was going to go through highs. I was long and strong through that opening drive, and those sellers stepped right back in. Even though those buyers were pretty aggressive, selling was pretty much became very dominant, and even through the opening range low, that was pretty interesting as well. But yeah, I heard some of those strike prices. That 260 is going to be interesting. So a bit of a range there, even though we fell to the low of the range, we're kind of coming back in, opening in the middle of the range today. So this range break is going to be interesting to me on earnings day 2 for Micron. And another name, MSOS, saw that bit of I guess open interest at that $6 that Joe was mentioning. So I throw up an alert there. That's also the consolidation high from yesterday after we puked all the way down to below $5. Now we're kind of gapping up 5.17s in the pre-market. Not too much volume going on here, but yeah, MSOS and Micron definitely one of the top names on the watch list, along with a few others as well.
And no doubt about it, got to be on the watch list for sure. We have a lot to get to. I know we're going to have Michael coming on through a little bit here. A few people in the chat disagree with the fact that Palantir will come to the downside.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they do.
See, I can't let this one go because a lot of people would argue it's already had one of those. In some way, like when we got to, it was at $120 and got almost pulled back in half. If you go back in the weekly chart, like remember the pullback from 120, it double bottomed in front of like $60. Yep. It's a 50% retracement. So like it did one of those already. I don't like. Will it unwind? Like you have to define unwind.
Yeah.
Like I would argue depends on the time frame you're looking at.
Of course, yeah.
But like Palantir, I think it's frothy. I just think when I look at Bloom Energy. Like that one in particular, like that was sort of way out there. And, I couldn't see any reason why it would come back. But like SNDK, I guess some of that SMCI vibe with that as well. And I think it gets a little bit different. What are your thoughts, guys? Because we've already, want to go to Sharif and Brennan on this. We've seen quantum names have already pulled back. A lot of the nuclear energy names have pulled back. Like, what's parabolic that you think has gotten out of control? Memory names? Obi thinks Palantir. Is there anything that you just think is way out there to end the year?
But any of that weed stuff was just absolutely nonsensical. There's no business there.
No.
And I mean, to run up 200, 300% in a couple of days just on someone signing a piece of paper. I mean, yes, that's going to open the door for some changes as far as regulation in the U.S. and who knows, but I mean, we've talked about the margins in that business.
Exactly.
They're not there.
Exactly, and this side of the border is an exact example of that. I mean, we've had marijuana legal, what are we going on, 6, 7 years now?
At least.
At least, and it's just getting worse in terms of a viable business model. Some stores are closing, prices are coming down. That's not really a glowing endorsement to get into the business, and nor is this EO yesterday opening the doors for that. In fact, it's just a rescheduling, helps some, business practices with banking and some interstate operators, but nothing really substantive like federal legalization. But I want to build on the point Neil was talking about, NOB as well, about RAM. This is one of those industries, Brenda, we've seen it's feast or famine. There's either a glut of inventory that they can't offload out of the warehouses, or they just can't make enough of it. And what adds insult to injury is there's only 3 major players for this kind of thing in the world. It's Micron, the only American company, and then 2 tie-ups with South Korea. You got SK Hynix and Samsung. And, quite frankly, it's, SanDisk is another one, but not nearly on the same type of scale, nor do they focus on the data centers as their main client. Those are more retail focused as well. So you can kind of see this one maybe toning down a little bit, especially if you see efficiencies in data centers. And we've been talking about this. Application-specific integrated circuits, they don't require as much RAM as AMD's, as NVIDIA's high-end GPUs. So could we see a dwindling of demand as people look more towards ASICs?
All that said, can you actually throw it back on the company themselves at this point? Because the simple scale of these data centers that are being built, there was going to be an uptick in demand, period, end of story. And now we're finding that they just don't have enough to meet that demand currently. So we'll see how that plays out. We talked about it, a little bit with Micron going back a couple of days ago. Here's just got a little bit of Canadian data that came across. There's nothing US-based at 8:30 that was scheduled for this morning, but we did get retail sales for Canada. Looks green, actually, right across the board, so better than expected, except for the headline number. It looks like 2% versus 2.4, but 1.2 on the month over month versus 0.3 expected, so a nice uptick there monthly. Anyway, coming up at 10 o'clock, existing home sales. That is a US number for November, and then we get Michigan consumer sentiment as well. There was questions floating around whether or not we were going to get a PCE reading at 8:30. I didn't see anything come across. So the next one that's actually on the schedule or on the calendar is Tuesday. So coming up next week on Tuesday, we could potentially get, that's again a dated one that's going back to October. So we're still filtering through some of this backlogged data from the government shutdown. But just remember, 10 o'clock this morning is going to be key. Ramin, let me know if Michael Noss has arrived. If not, we can hang out. Okay, they're just setting up Mr. Noss, guys. We'll touch base with him. He wants to talk about MACD again, but he also sent me an email saying he wants to talk about his ding-dong.
What does that mean, Brendo?
He was on Monday, if you remember,
yeah,
and he mentioned a company called Ding Dong. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Michael Noss.
Michael, come on, Michael. That's fantastic. I got nothing
Miggity Mac, Daddy.
What? I'm just saying.
You know that song?
Miggity Mac?
Yeah. I'm the Miggity Mac. I make you wanna crisscross will make you
Jump.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I know that part.
Obi, trust. Like, obviously, Sean knows crisscross. True story. And I'm probably, you know what? I should have done this for Halloween. No, true story. When I was in junior high, maybe? I want to say I was like in grade 8 or something like that. I actually had, they had the, what was it? Like, it was Rockies jerseys, whatever, like the baseball jersey to the back with the backwards jeans as a costume. Yeah, I rocked that. Whatever, man. Okay. I don't even know what those cats are up to these days. And you know what? I probably don't want to look because I guarantee you, if I go check to see what they're up to, it'll be depressed. Like, for real? Vizbot. One of them passed away. Oh, no, really? That sucks. Oh, that's sad. Man, you know what? Celebrate. They had a great set of hits back in the day. Jump with.
I gotta go check out some of their stuff then.
Obviously, that's not the MACD that Michael Noss is going to talk about. Yeah. The indicator is what he's going to mention. But that really sucks that they They passed away. But yeah, I'm kind of interested to hear about this ding dong as well.
Yeah.
But you know what? We chuckle about this all the time. Like every time we talk about some of these alt, whether it could be like an altcoin, but it's the same thing when we talk about some of the small cappers, the habitual line steppers, the ones that pop and drop. The truth of the matter is, and we had this discussion yesterday with regards to the IPOs. FJet, not my cup of tea. I don't know if I'd ever trade that. But some people in the chat said that was a way better opportunity for them taking along and trading it than Medline was. And you know what? More power to you. If you can make sense of the movement and you can trade it and you can make money trading it, then who cares what it's called? As long as it's legal and you can actually get your money out when you're trading, then you're absolutely fine. You're good to go. And that's all that really matters in the game of trading. It doesn't really matter what your friends think of you. Oh, you're not a real trader because you trade ding dong. Who cares? When you cash your check, no one really gives a darn. And the funny thing about trading too is most of trading is just finding something that works for you. Like what strategies work for me. And maybe crypto works for you. I don't know too much about ding dong whatsoever myself.
No, I saw that FJet thing, and I'm like, you know what? I honestly agree. We went through some of that price action, and it was like there were certain moments, like if you took the opening range high break, or if you like kind of you saw the gap down, the halt down right off of the open so much lower, halt straight up. Maybe you're taking that. Or you're just referencing the opening bar and just being like, all right, like this is the range that I'm going to work with. And that $10 level, once it gets through that, you got $7 on top of that. Even if you risk $1 or $2 to the low, the risk to reward definitely makes a little bit of sense, right? But yeah, no, I'm looking at this ding dong because I'm definitely interested in this one. But it seems like it's a fresh grocery e-commerce business in China. So interesting stuff. We're going to the chart here as well. I'm interested to see what Mr. Nas has to say about this ding dong DDL.
And that's the thing. Michael will bring us any sector, whether it's crypto, whether it's small caps, whether it's energy. It doesn't matter. If it moves, he can chart it. Our good friend Michael Nas, I believe, is ready now.
I just had to look it up as well because I had no idea what this company even does. But I think it was actually Friday. Correct me if I'm wrong. Were we talking about this on Friday a week ago?
I think it was Monday. I think
okay.
Friday we talked about the crypto side of things, and I think Neil actually just did the entire point that we were sitting here just laughing about what a silly name and no one knew what this company did and it came out of nowhere, and that is I think the benefit of kind of what you guys do and what I do as a systematic trader. We don't really care. Right, you kind of take the setup. I had to look it up as well. I was refusing to for a couple of days, but since we talked about it last, it's up like 30-40% with the chart I have there. And I just wanted to go over there again exactly. I think Neil just hit the nail on the head with this one to talk about. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it does. It doesn't matter if this is a good company and whether or not it's going to be a thing for any period of time. If it meets your setup, you kind of trade it and then giggle about the name and kind of move on.
And it's one of those things, and we sit here and bang our heads against the wall trying to trade Google or trying to trade NVIDIA, trying to trade Tesla all day long. Mm-hmm. And if you just take a giant step back and follow a rule set instead of just coming in, trying to find the hot thing every single day, these are the types of opportunities that you can see. Why don't we just recap real quick the setup and the idea behind that and how it played out?
Yeah, so this is one of just a very basic momentum setup I have. If we bring up the chart, it's really as close to a bull flag as you can kind of possibly get. And yeah, on Monday, I gave a handful of examples that come from this. It's, something that we have as one of our particular setups with a whole back test associated and all that. But yeah, nice push up, a sideways consolidation for a number of days. And then you're looking to take the breakout. So that little purple line there is our entry. And the point of this is, and the main thing that I hit about on Monday, is that this strategy is actually wrong more often than it's right. It's got a 48% win rate. So you know that you're going to lose a significant amount of money every time you hit the button. On average, you're going to lose half the time. You're going to lose whatever the stop loss is. But the stop loss is tight, and every now and then you get this. And when I was looking at this, it just reminded me of one of my old mentors and the favorite saying he always used to give me, which our job is to stay alive long enough to get lucky. So on this one, 40% rip in a couple days, I consider that very lucky. So I'll just kind of take that and move on. And on to the real topic. I did that kind of just as a meme and went a little longer than I thought. But I talked about on Friday this new version of the MACD. And a lot of people know the MACD already. This one's called the MACD-V. And I talked about this for the crypto market on Friday. And I got tons of response and comments from you guys and people, DMing me and saying, hey, I want the code for TradingView. So again, I did not create this. However, if you look at MACD-V out there, there's a lot of information for the people who did. And the main difference here is that the normal MACD is not normalized for the individual stock, which means if you're looking at the MACD on Apple, it's going to be way different from Google and way different from NVIDIA and way different on Ding Dong and all these things. However, if you normalize it for volume, so you're basically taking the ATR and you're dividing the normal MACD value by that, you end up getting something that you can start running in backtests and doing things like that. So the next chart was the backtest I showed in the crypto space. I talked about how Bitcoin might be bottoming. The jury's still out on that. Since I've been here, that obviously wasn't working out so well, but the trade is still on. But the request I got was, can you take this same thing and apply it to the equity market? So, of course, this is kind of what I do. I went and I just did a quick and dirty test, and that's what we're seeing here. Again, this is not an equity curve that I would trade personally. Huge spikes and pullbacks and long periods of time and nothing, but just enough to prove to me that this is something that I should investigate further. Right? We start with a very wide, very dirty test and see what shows up there. And then if it's up and to the right, even at all, then we know, okay, it's time to explore the topic. It's time to maybe add some different filtering criteria and things like that. But it does prove that this volatility normalized version of MACD has some predictive value of stocks. So the next chart I have here is actually the TLT, and I grabbed some ETF examples from this. And again, the point of this is that because we're doing this volatility normalization, the MACD now can not only signal change in trend direction, which is its kind of primary purpose now, but it can also do overbought and oversold. So in this case, every time you see the bottom pane where the MACD is, the line, the horizontal line that I draw is around the 100 level. And that's just showing that if it goes below the 100 level and then starts to cross back up, that is the definition, and that is what the creator has tested for potentially oversold and maybe turning around in the short term. The momentum might be moving higher. So a good time that if you're someone who likes to buy dips or you like to buy reversals lower, that you can take a look. So I went through a whole bunch of ETFs and I grabbed the ones that are kind of setting up. And I think they paint a kind of interesting picture here that we can look at as well. So again, the first one here being TLT. You can see we haven't gone anywhere in bonds for right there. Yeah, we haven't gone anywhere in bonds for a very long time. We've just been kind of consolidating sideways here. I know bonds aren't the most interesting thing on the planet, but they are very important. However, it's respected this indicator very well, and we're getting that signal as well, which could mean an increase in bond prices. An increase in bond prices means a decrease in rates, and then a decrease in rates is usually good for small caps, and it's good for banks and things like that. If you want to take that, you're not very interested in the TLT symbol. Next one I have here is probably the most insane ETF I've ever seen, and that's SHLD. So this is a defense ETF. And not only is it a defense ETF, but it's a defense ETF focused entirely on kind of the technology of defense. So think drones and cybersecurity and things like this, and just an insane chart for an ETF. Also putting in that signal of dipping under 100 and now crossing back up and putting in a little bit of a nice bull flag here. So this one might be an interesting one to take a look at. Also, again, defensive. Same with bonds. That's kind of, I think, the theme we're going to see here. Next here is Vice. And Vice is an ETF that does just that. They invest in vices, so tobacco and booze, and I think Playboy's in there and things like that. And the point of this one is that it's kind of a way to play, an alternative way to play defensive assets, because if the market's going to struggle for a little bit or go into some rotation, you generally don't see a decrease in spending in cigarettes and alcohol and things like that. So setting up again the same, and every time it's set up in this last year or so in this particular area, it's been a nice boon for this particular ETF. And then last but not least, we have utilities, which also are doing the exact same thing. So the last chart here, you can see 3 times in the last year or so, we've had this dip to the oversold territory and then a cross back up, and it's doing that again right now. So if defense and bonds and staples, I guess is a way you could talk about that Vice ETF, and utilities are the ones that are going to start turning here and showing strength, that could mean that the rest of the market gets into a little bit of defensive stance. I'm not seeing any of this kind of upward momentum in some of these other names right now. So at least for this indicator, it's telling us to maybe be a little bit cautious out there.
When we go back to the actual trade setup here, and we showed that quasi-equity curve that, you mentioned that you probably wouldn't trade this. When you find yourself in that situation, part of a job of doing this, full-time and as a living, is refining things down to a point where they actually produce some sort of win rate that actually makes sense. When you find yourself in a situation where it's not quite there yet, where do you start? Where do you go first to kind of fix that?
Yeah, so and just to describe the process a bit, that particular setup I showed has 150,000 trades in it. So that's always the first thing I want to look at. Is I want to cast a really wide net and say, give me 150,000 trades over a 10-year period is just insane. And there's commission included in this. So net of commission, taking that many trades produces a little bit of an advantage. And I think that's always step one. If I run a back test and the line is just kind of straight down or it doesn't go anywhere, then I just look at it as it's not really capturing any alpha. It's just random noise that it's picking up. From there, there's a lot of observation of the charts. I will actually go through. I got TradingView has this like year-end wrap-up like Spotify does, and it says I looked at 75,000 charts this year.
Damn.
So I obviously go through a lot of charts, and some of it will just be that and seeing if there's some sort of pattern recognition I can pick up. So for example, this is a pullback kind of continuation setup. So the first thing I might test is a simple, what if we're above the 200-day moving average? And then you put that in and you run a test, and you kind of are looking for some sense of direction of what makes things better or worse. And then from there, if you want to get real nerdy with it, I do some kind of machine learning where I'll put it against a whole bunch of indicators or variables. It will spit out and say, these are the ones that are most important. And then I just kind of logic check those to make sure it makes sense. But I think for kind of the audience, the best way to do it is you don't have to go through all 150,000, but start looking through the trades and starting to see if you can see a pattern between the ones that worked out and the ones that didn't. And if you think you see a pattern, you just go back and test that.
Were you top 1% of people who looked at ding dong charts or Farcoin?
They didn't say that, but they did say I spent a lot of time in the meme coin. They gave me a little like meme coin badge. I should see if I should bring it. It was actually pretty funny. But yeah, 75,000 charts I've looked at this year, and I just looked at that and said I need to go touch grass a little more.
Yeah, I dare anyone to find someone who has looked at more. Definitely. Michael Noss, I will be out of the building for the remainder of the year. Happy holidays. All the best.
Happy holidays.
Yours. And enjoy some time, I guess. Maybe away from the screen over the holidays. We'll catch you in the new year, and we're off to Joe here.
Absolutely. Have a good holiday.
Fantastic stuff, Mr. Noss. Always listen to what he has to say, right? One of those individuals. So, all right, guys, let's start it off here as Neil requested with some of the downgrades. The top of the yes, Sharif, that's correct. I mean, we're still holding a buy rating here on Nike, but there is a substantial price cut here. We're going from $78 to $68 by Needham. You're down 10.94% here in the pre-market sessions. And then we have AGCO, Agriculture Company, guys. Barclays lowering that price target to $93 and an underweight rating as well, too. We have Lyft also going from a neutral weight to an underperform, guys, by Wedbush, and you're down 3% this morning. And we have CarMax also going from a $46 price target to a $36 price target. Now, as for some of the upgrades, guys, we have Cummins, yes, that's going to be going from an equal weight to an overweight by Barclays. CMI, you're relatively flat here this morning. Shreve trading this one once again yesterday. Fuel Cell going from a $7 to a $9 price target by TD Cowen. And then we have FedEx as well too, guys. $271, lifting that price target up to $313, holding a steady buy rating there. And Broadcom getting a price target raise as well too, guys, $500 to $510.
Fuel cell, huh? Who knew? Who knew? But no, well, on the downside, Nike stinks. Not good. Definitely, it's definitely not doing it. What are we even talking? 11% to the downside, and it's not like there haven't been some good retail names up in this last earnings cycle. But the bottom broke. 17% decline in China sales. I mean, come on, man. Like that's not gonna play. Like that's not gonna play the same way. Throwing 88 down the middle is probably gonna have him leaving yard, or hanging a breaking ball to the number 9 hitter on the Dodgers is gonna likely lead to a game-tying home run. Then you lose the World Series. That's the kind of quarter. Like basically, that's the kind of quarter that Nike had, and I'm still bitter about it. It's fine. I'll be absolutely fine. It's whatever. It's Christmas. I'm fine. I'm not even thinking about the Blue Jays loss. The other great thing is, before we get into Nike, I shouldn't even have made a baseball reference. Nike's earnings, you have the feeling, if you're a shareholder of Nike today, as if you played in the fantasy semifinals, Puka Nacua and Matt Stafford in a stack, and on top of that, JSN. Because the dude I'm playing had all 3 of those guys, and it's already over. Thursday Night Football, and I'm already eliminated, basically. It's ridiculous. What are you going to do? That's Nike's earnings today. So it's a flat bottom break. It's a disaster. $60 is a pretty key level if it can even get back to there. You got the 50 level from way back when, but this hasn't been good for a while. You're what are we, a full year into the new CEO? And we're still kind of unbroken on this downward trend. So yeah, not looking very good for Nike. I don't know if it can press back in to retest some of these prior support levels or a fade into that, but that's where I would look. But we're so far underneath it. Can we even get to, I don't know if we can get to 60. We're at VWAP now, so there's a sign. Maybe you get a dead cat bounce to fade off the 60 level, but not very good. That's the upgrade, downgrade that I think gets the most attention today. It's 100%. Nike for bad reasons.
100%. And I say it's just
Yeah, I think
it's doing more of the same. Right?
Oh, you're muted. You're good.
Okay, so yeah, sorry. Yeah, Nike definitely the main one on watch there. And I'm saying, yeah, it's definitely just doing it because it's doing more of the same. What has it been doing over the past couple of weeks, or even couple of months? Let's just go to the monthly right here. You can see aggressive selling, very much backside move, right? We had a decent run all the way up into 21, and since then we've just been making lower highs and lower lows. And something interesting to me now, I don't know if this directly relates to Nike, but a couple of years ago, the sneaker resale business, some of those guys were banking. They were making a lot of, they're making some good margins. Right now, that business is not doing too hot. Right? These guys are sitting on old inventory. They are not making any sort of money, any sort of sales, and maybe, I see Sharif like with the thumbs down, 100%, right? So those guys aren't even making money. So the question becomes, like, Nike's definitely in the shoe game a little bit, right? That's part of what they do. Yeah, earnings reflecting that sentiment, and the bigger picture chart also reflecting that sentiment as well. I always say this, it's like, okay, cool, you had some news, whether it be earnings, one of the strongest catalysts, but I think people are just finding any and every reason to continue the trend, reason to sell, right? And we're seeing more of the same coming in today. So now the question becomes, yes, we have a little bit of a downgrade as well, double whammy on that, but can we break some of these lower levels? Can we go to some of these prior support levels here, or do we get a bit of a bounce? Is this too far too fast? Even though bigger picture, we have been selling off, trend to the downside. So I think Nike's definitely going to be on watch today. Pre-market ranges 59.5s to 57.80s as of right now, and yeah, holding VWAP. Let's throw up a little bit of that anchored VWAP as well and see how that's doing relative to current price action. You can see here that that's sitting all the way up at 60.50. So if we do get a reversion, do we kind of revert back to 60.50s? I'm definitely gonna be watching some of those prices here as well. I don't know what this line is here on the chart. I think it's from a much higher time frame. But yeah, line go down. basically.
It's probably just a line of best fit on like the monthly chart or something.
Something I drew like probably a few months ago that I haven't really removed. But
Either
again,
way, it's not good.
More of the same is what I'm saying.
Yeah, either way, it's not looking too good for Nike, which I was looking at the board. I'm like, I was trying to find it behind me. Like, I feel like it's probably like that one, but I was kind of pointing to this name, which we're going to both talk about at some point
Nike
today.
On that side, yeah.
Is it Nike?
That is Nike.
Oh, yeah, it is Nike in the red. There's not much in the red. You're going to see Apple, YCBD, some of the cannabis stocks, and then what's behind Brendan's head?
Mask.
Oh, the mask, like Jim Carrey? What the heck is that?
One.
What is 3E network technology? And this is why none of us have heard of it. Why is that? What? Okay, never mind. Yeah, well, this is math.
Didn't even be up.
You know, if you're a penny stock and you've done less than like a couple 100,000 shares, that you're not very good. What is mask? That is, there's no masking that terrible chart. So yeah, sometimes you just randomly come across. Hey, here's the best thing about this chart. Random chart just got pulled up on mask, which is for whatever reason on our board back there. And what is the high? What's the all-time high on mask? 420, baby. Can't make this stuff up. So anyways, that's probably not an interesting name. But one of the names, the name in the middle there, Palantir, is one we're definitely going to talk about for sure. There's going to be a lot to cover. Just remember, everybody, it's going to be witching. We will talk about crypto. I saw in the chat just there, Kalani, you just put BTC and then question mark. I'm going to ask you a favor, Kalani. First, thank you for joining us. Share with your friends. Hit the like and subscribe, everybody. But anyone that's not in the chat, you need to be a subscriber to be in the chat. And if you're typing symbols like BTC, use the $, because this would have jumped up on our visualizer here. So instead of mask, which seriously, people are just typing mask now because I randomly said it. So I don't know. I think
Guys, come on.
Yeah, come on. Whatever. Well, mask is now number one.
Definitely
YCB, that makes sense. Palantir, that makes sense. Tesla makes sense. DJT makes sense. Mask makes absolutely no sense. It's done 67,000 shares of penny stock. It's doing no volume. We should not care about that. BTC's on there for sure, and it will be. I'm going to do the refresh.
Yeah,
I'm going to give it a fresh start.
Unnecessary.
So now all of a sudden, of course, ding dong is going to be Obi.
Nice.
Symbols, people. Let's
all right.
Micron in there. I'm going to go $PLTR. So I'm going to throw Palantir in there. You can throw dong. That was the symbol that Michael Noss was talking about there. So yeah, just remember it's $, and what did I do? Oh, refresh the page. Okay, so I'm refreshing.
Okay, so there it is. Dude, mask is still up there.
The mask is still there. Oh, come on. It's not a thing. Nobody watched the stock.
Irrelevant. Don't do that.
Boom. Now see Palantir starting to go. See, look at new feature. Now it gets hyped up and it just flashes.
Boom. All right.
All right, now you guys are just trolling. You know what? You're going to troll us with this mask thing. Sharif, if mask ends up on the rundown for the afternoon, ignore it, please. The stock is completely useless.
Neil, if it starts doing volume, I'm going to have to trade it. I'm going to, maybe even Joey as well.
Okay, but that's fair. If. It's not going to. It's not a thing. It's not in play, everybody. Just saying. What is going on here? I'm just gonna go have my salad, because I should have known what was gonna happen when we even called the stock up. I was just curious. I'm like, what is this?
People are gonna start talking about it, and now it has some attention. Maybe you get some volume.
For some reason.
Be careful out there.
No, but no. In all seriousness, do be careful. Like, there is absolutely nothing going on with that stock. Like, Palantir is always in play, story or not.
Yes.
Like, CoreWeave is in play. They've got a news story. We could be talking about CoreWeave, which is up 5% after getting destroyed for the last little bit. Yeah, Ramin, I can see that Mask is winning. I'm trying to change the subject to a stock. So Ramin is telling me in my ear, she's making sure that we all see that Mask is winning, as I'm trying to change the subject to a stock that's actually valid and actually moving right now, which is CoreWeave. Apparently there's no point.
It was doing volume on Monday.
It's not what they want.
It was doing volume on Monday. Here's the thing. Maybe someone's just looking for exit liquidity because they've been swinging this short for a couple of days. Who knows? Come on.
My bad.
It was doing volume, but like it's not going to get back up to 50 pennies. I don't think so. You need a lot of push for that. Anyways,
that's all.
You got to focus on in-play names.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You're not like if you want to have any sort of relative consistency in your trading, you got to focus on in-play names.
Yeah.
I'm going to say.
We'll leave it at that. No, but in all seriousness, CoreWeave is up 5%. It is worth watching today. The market's slightly green. And the technical thing about CoreWeave, because I don't know if we'll talk about this one, and hopefully we'll talk about this one in the watch list as well, where CoreWeave is double bottoming. This is the thing, it's the fourth day after earnings. CoreWeave popped to like $60 and failed it. And then when it came back, the IPO breakout, so like it's, you make a local high when an IPO comes out, you dip, that's a pretty normal standard practice. It broke out from this area, it was like 60 to 65, and now that's turning into a bit of support. So another bounce here, I'm not saying you get all the way to 90, but that's a rounded bottom. There's actually something happening in this stock. Rounded bottom, potential breakout today on CoreWeave. But it's 9 o'clock, everybody, there's lots to still cover. Remember, we'll keep checking back in on this locator, but there's, it being witching today, there are going to be some big imbalances, a lot of them at the close, but possibly at the open as well. So there's a little extra volatility going on this morning at the open, and volume particularly, not always volatility, but certainly volume for sure. So I'm always more patient on a witching day, especially the year end. It's easy to get whipped around. You have to really like a breakout trade to take it, because it should work. If it doesn't work right away, not hesitant to get out. But let's go to the desk, talk some futures, and get into this watch list, everybody.
Even though it's completely trolling, I encourage more. I mean, it's still,
it's 22
it's down
pennies,
4%.
Brendo.
I mean, the stock board is going to get more votes than trades on this thing today, which is great though. So have at it.
That's amazing.
Vote for mask, everyone. Let's have a look at the market.
This thing moves. All right, guys. 68.31 Ram. That's what we closed out yesterday on the ES March contract, guys. We've rolled on to the new contract. Today is the last day for the December contract, but it's been doing less volume since Monday. So look at that recovery that we got into. So that was the sell-off on Wednesday. There's almost a V-shaped retracement on Thursday, and here we are in the middle on Friday. But most notably, we did not take out Wednesday's highs yesterday, despite this V-shaped retracement. So what we're looking at is the same level of resistance we got into yesterday. We're looking at 68.75 as a resistance level 1. If we break above 75, we're looking at 6,900. If we start selling off, Brendo, we're going to look to that overnight low, 68.25 as support.
Damn Joey pumping mask. Joey, did you pump mask? Somebody was saying that even Joey was pumping mask. All right, if you haven't done so yet, you want free stuff, there's a link below. Top link in the description, looks like that. We'll get you to the sign-up page for the watch list. It's free, comes right to your inbox every single day. Has any stock that's moving around on it in the pre-market and a little on why. Let's talk about Oracle, because we got a nice bump after the close yesterday. It's not really doing much right now, just kind of hanging out around 188, 189. Based off this move, though, as I said when we came on this morning, again, join us guys at 8 o'clock every single morning now. We bumped it back 30 minutes. What a wild ride it's been for Oracle the past month or so, up and down and all around, and here we are back to the upside again.
Back to the upside, Brendo. After this headline, the CEO of TikTok, known by most people as Show, he announced that TikTok's U.S. operations will move into a new entity called TikTok USDS Joint Venture LLC. The joint venture is kind of requiring ByteDance to divest its U.S. TikTok business. The deal's closing date, Brendo, set for January 22nd, aligning with the expiration of President Trump's enforcement pause. You'll recall he put that in when he took over office. So the new U.S. entity is going to be majority owned by American investors and is going to be governed by a 7-member majority American board. The new investor consortium is going to have the following companies: Oracle, Silver Lake, and MGX, and they collectively will hold 50%, with each having about 15% per stake. The affiliates of existing ByteDance investors will own just 30%, and then ByteDance themselves is going to own just under 20%. And the new venture, Brendo, is going to oversee the U.S. data protections, the algorithm security, content moderation, and software assurances. This was part of the deal that President Trump struck, that they had to have control on the algorithm and that U.S. data had to remain with a U.S. trusted company, lest it be manipulated by the Chinese.
And I think it's a good sign for things to come potentially on the China-U.S. relations in general.
Yes.
I mean, this had to come from Xi. Remember, this final sign-off on this deal actually getting done had to come from Xi. So positive all around, I think, from a sentiment standpoint. If you zoom out, however, Oracle still looks like hot garbage. Still under 200 bucks, but trying to get, clawing its way back a little bit here this morning, guys, for Oracle.
Absolutely is.
there's a ticker back there.
Y'all just troll. Now you guys
That
are
might
just
not
trolling.
belong. Neil. Right behind Brenda, right here.
All right. So what had happened was, no.
Yes.
Board, guys.
Yeah.
So I actually thought that the board behind us was like percent, like maybe like the biggest volume names or like notional volume on the day and positive like, advancers and decliners or something like that. But apparently it's just
Does not exist.
all right. And now you guys know what it really is. So let's get to some super chats here before we get to Oracle, which we will talk about Oracle. Dragos, you're hitting up Toronto next year. Have any of you stayed at the Great Canadian Hotel? I have not. I don't know if anybody else here has stayed at the Great Canadian Hotel. I don't even try. I don't even think I know it, to be honest with you. But then I live here, so I'm not really staying in hotels
Royal
here
York
very
is
often.
nice.
I know the Royal York. I know the Western Harbor Castle. I've stayed there before, but I'm not familiar with that one. We'll ask around for you. Hit us up if you come around here, Dragos. And then there was also, let's get that out of here. There was also, I wanted to congratulate and thank Arsis FX. Over 3 years I've been here and I love it more every year. Permanent plan on my trading office. Permanent play on my trading office wall screen. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of our viewers. You know, whether it's a super chat or whatever it might be, or just a kind message, we appreciate them all. Or nobody appreciates Oracle's stock price the last couple of weeks or months. Definitely not. But there are some signs. It needs the good news. There's no question about it. But my only question would be, should this TikTok headline outweigh all of the negative AI news that's been coming out for it and play around there? Oh. No, Obi's on there. Yeah, I don't even know why
Yeah.
It's over.
Best stock.
You realize the more attention that we give it, the board is just going to be, okay.
There is a stock called OBI, but it trades on the LSE.
No, there isn't.
Yeah, it does.
I have
it right here. Look. There is an OBI. Ondine Biomedical trades on the LSE.
Okay, well,
here. Maybe not too much volume, but
you
know, interesting stuff. But yeah, Oracle.
No,
Oracle's looking.
Anyways, I don't think this TikTok news is a bigger deal than all of the negative AI spend. The debt market, concerns about debt, concerns about delays, like all of that kind of thing is, to me, a bigger deal. So I think there's a cap on how much I want to believe this can go up today. I don't know if we get to 200. What did I write on my iPad? I know I wrote 200 a couple of days ago. That it just hasn't changed as a fade level. And then I guess there's 192 up here as well. So 192 feels a little bit shallow, but if this somehow gets anywhere near 200 today, that's a sell on Oracle. Easy peasy, beautiful cover girl. But what's weird is it doesn't have a key level, and I'm going to mention this now because it's not on our rundown. There wasn't a catalyst, but just have a quick look at Palantir and specifically the 187.5 level. 187.5 pre-market wall. Yesterday, 187.5 wall. Day before, tries to bounce at the early flush. Obviously, nothing really successfully bounced. Held 187.5. Prior day before that, you're effectively closing barcoding that level. Day before that, you reject 187.5. See what I'm getting at? I think there's a breakout. Well, this one, 187.5 breakout can take you to about 190, where I think you have another problem because it's Friday. But I like that play here on Palantir. It's the kind of trade on a witching day, if it fails right away, I don't mind just sort of getting in. You lose the even dollar, just get the heck out, right? Like you risk like the 50 pennies on it. Don't try to fight it. I may put it like 95 instead of like 99 or something like that, but I don't want to risk like $1.50 on Palantir if I think the next stop is only a couple of dollars higher.
Yeah, I think something I do want to point out here is that we did have earnings just last week or a couple weeks ago right here. Strong selling, and look at the area that we're in here. So this is Monday right here, so we can just draw it in. On Monday, in and around 189 is a little bit of supply coming in. Again, on Wednesday, 190, so similar area right here, 190s, more supply coming in. In the pre-market, hits that 190, wicks 192, maybe some more supply coming in. So the question becomes, on this Friday, do we finally break through this this zone, which seems like it's kind of saturated with some selling here? Can we lift? Can those sellers be kind of done with? Is the buying with the ByteDance bid enough? Is it going to be enough to kind of break through that 190? That's what I'm watching for. But again, I'm going to keep it simple. Support and resistance right here. This has been resistance. This has been an area of supply for the past week. Does it stay the same coming into today? If it doesn't, do we distinctly get past that 191.50 for a push higher? Those are the questions I'm asking. Don't forget, earnings was sold off, and this has been continuing really, really nicely with a low of 177, currently trading at 188 halves. That 192, 190-ish level is going to be very interesting to see. Let's see what it does with the VWAP. Let's see if sellers show their hand. Maybe the selling's not done. It's very clear that sellers are very, very dominant, and market tailwind also may be a little bit dependent as well. We'll see.
Here in a pretty big way this morning. We're below 60 bucks. Hasn't been here in quite some time, and actually heading lower right now. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 negative moves here from analysts following this earnings report. As you and I were discussing, I mean, the number's actually not that bad here. As positive as the last story was for the China-U.S. relation, this one maybe not.
Exactly. I was going to say there's one word that matters here, or one name, and it's China. This reason we're down so much. Let's talk about it, because they beat on the top and bottom line for the current quarter, Ram. 53 pennies per share EPS, well ahead of the expectations of 38 on revenue of 12.43 billion, which beat the 12.22 billion. Investors, though, they were focused on forward risks rather than the backward-looking results. Let's talk about those forward risks. Greater China revenue fell 17% year over year, down to 1.42 billion, a key disappointment. Management acknowledged that improvements in China are not happening at the pace they need it to happen at, so they're guiding down here. Let's talk about their different areas where they sell. North American sales rose 9%, not a bad look. Wholesale revenue, which they've been focusing a lot more on lately with their new CEO, Elliott Hill, up 8%. But direct-to-consumer sales fell 8%, offsetting the wholesales. But that's okay, because we know that the company is focusing purposely less on DTC and more on wholesale. They want you to go into that store. They want you to see their shoes and their clothes on the shelves and make the purchases that way. They also guided here in terms of margins, guided low single-digit revenue declines in Q3, and they're blaming, Brendo, about a 3% hit from margins, saying that it was a major factor in the declines there. And then one segment that does remain a drag, Converse, continues to bleed here. 30% down year over year. And this is a little bit off for me, because I see all like the high school kids and the university kids at the gym, they wear Converse to squat. So I figured and nobody's buying lifters anymore, they're buying Converse. Well, I didn't get it.
I was just about to say the same thing. The Chuck's coming in for the squats. You got to go back to June, I guess, here, guys. That was the initial support off of those April tantrum or tariff tantrum lows for Nike. So we've given basically the entire half of the year back here for Nike on this.
But it's trying to bounce. Okay, we've already talked negatively about Nike enough, so I won't beleaguer them. If you want an upward trending chart today, oddly enough, you can look at DJT. So this is the world we live in. DJT is going higher and Nike is continuing to go lower. That said, because of the bounce that we're having right now in Nike, there is a chance it tries to fill in the gap on the daily to about 60 bucks. So if it gets up there, that's where I would look for a mean reversion play. It's not an auto thing. I'd almost want it to not happen in the first 1 minute candle at 9:30. I feel like those are usually not the best entry points. Let's be real. If a stock is down this much, but if we slowly gravitate up, I'd be looking to fade off Nike at that 60. And not to jump to another name, but I don't see DJT up there, and I do see a lot of people talking about DJT, and I also see it breaking the highs of the day. Everybody. So DJT day 2. Whatever, merging with a fusion company, you can price it however you want. I don't even understand how you could. Maybe it's worth nothing. Maybe it's the greatest breakthrough ever. I have no idea. What we do know is it's holding above yesterday's highs and trending to the upside on DJT. It's actually not on my list. But if absolutely nothing is setting up, and this holds the prior day high, then almost by default, it's just a continuation play there. But it's going to be further down on the list. But I wanted to show everybody it is still going. It was a good long in yesterday's trade, no questions asked, trended up in the morning and then consolidated higher. You might see something like that again. I might pay for locates if it does something silly to the upside, which it didn't do yesterday, but I haven't yet.
Yeah, I think, again, want to reiterate, this stock is kind of doing a little bit more of the same. I think strong selling right here. 58.94 is here. This is a weekly chart, so we're breaking below multi-month lows. And take a look at this consolidation that happened here from, when is this? Roughly the beginning of May, and then a strong earnings bid came in June. So this support level is very interesting to me. Let's find out what that specifically is. That's coming in right at 58.42. So we're only about 50 pennies away from this support level. So the question becomes, again, do we crack this level? Then we have maybe a little bit of room towards those 51s, right? So that's kind of what I'm watching here. Pre-market session, as of right now, we're bidding up a little bit towards VWAP. I did mention earlier that Anchored is also sitting somewhere around here, 60.34s. So the question becomes, maybe do we just wait if I'm looking for sellers, do I wait for confirmation? Do I wait for them to see, to show themselves and come in to get involved? Or do we just take the break right off of the open? That's going to be them showing themselves as well. So, or I could be totally wrong. We could just bid up and revert a decent chunk of this move and consolidate in whatever range on the day today. So let's see if Nike will just do it.
Not much on Tesla as far as headlines today, other than the strength that we've seen over the past week and a half here. All-time highs, 495.28 on Tesla. We're less than $10 away here right now.
A couple of upgrades today, Brendo. Deutsche Bank giving them the nod. Truist Securities as well. I was able to find the Truist analyst note here. William Stein, he raised the price target on Tesla to 444, up from 406, but keeping that hold rating. He adjusted the price target as well on some other semiconductor names. He acknowledges the challenges in finding the power to run their AI infrastructure and the expansion that they need, but he's giving them the nod today, Brendo, but maintaining that hold rating.
Yeah, if the market gets going today, this one definitely one you got to keep an eye on. We've been right there or thereabouts. I mean, 490 was a bit of an issue, I guess, yesterday, guys. Above that, though, who knows?
The thing is, it cannot get above this 190 level there. It's tried a couple times. We saw that push through the 82s coming in on Tuesday, and guess what? Yeah, maybe a little bit of too far too fast, because the next day comes in 495, doesn't even get to 500, slams all the way down to 467s-ish. That was pretty interesting as well. Kind of reverting that move. So we're kind of consolidating sideways here. So maybe today's the day. Again, expecting a little bit of volatility with OPEX. Do we finally blast through this 495? Do we see a little bit of 500? It's well within range, currently trading at 487s, Neil. So, interesting stuff. Definitely going to have it on watch. Can it break through prior day high? Can it break through that 495? These are all-time highs here.
Yeah, I kind of feel with this, because it can't seem to get through the 490, at least initially, like the first look for me is, does it do a failed break of 490? On a Friday, on a witching day, that kind of a move, I think, takes you down to 480 pretty easily. But that's if it does a fail break. So while I'll probably be in, like, I would never take on a witching day, like, 2 or 3 breakout trades. It's like, if you like one thing for breakout, maybe just stick with that one. Tesla, I won't take a 490 break. If the 15-minute holds above 490, that's a different story. Then I want to be joining longs on the way to 500. Because I feel like if you hold through that 490 level, decent chance we can see the 500. But the first look will be, does it fail break? If we get a failed breakout at the 490 level, I want to look for the other side of the trade until it proves to me that we can start closing above the 490 on Tesla. And when you get a price target increase or an upgrade, it's not always the biggest piece of news catalyst-wise to get you through the hump. And it's not really showing too many signs of that just yet. So for Tesla, maybe not so much as Palantir is going up. I like that one a little bit better. Tesla, I'll give it the chance. But if it rejects on this 15-minute to 490, then I should be shorted.
Let's continue along. Tons of things just popping up on the analyst side of things. Nothing really moving, however. But we'll touch on crypto here. We had a quick reversal when it came to Bitcoin itself. After a nice move higher initially yesterday, came right back down. And if you had a look at Twitter at any time throughout that, people were sounding a little bit panicked once again, as that was not typical for what we usually see. But I mean, there's the IBIT. You can see 2 days in a row here, we've had a nice rally and then given it all back late in the day.
It's been super volatile lately and really tight in a bit of a range, Brendo, but most of the indicators are pointing to negativity, sadly. Next week, going to be a big week. Next Friday, specifically, going to be a big week for Bitcoin. It is the annual options expiry, Joey, and roughly $23 billion in options are set to expire, representing more than 50% of the total open interest on Deribit. The size of the expiry raises the risk, of course, of forced volatility, especially as the price sits near that psychological and technical level. Traders are increasingly, though, as I mentioned to you, positioned downside. Bitcoin experienced about $130 billion in price swings within 1 hour this trading week. The broader crypto market, of course, still hovering around that $3 trillion area, but now BTC below its highs, October highs by 30%, a 30-day implied volatility is about 45%, and the skew is about minus 5%. So we'll have to keep an eye on next week's options expiration.
Yeah, $50 here for IBIT has been a level, to say the least, guys. We're hugging it right now, both directions.
For sure. Just quickly, I see a bunch of people mentioning Meta going to the upside. There wasn't anything that I saw outside of early this morning just talking about their mango and avocado AI models for next year. And literally the headlines, to rival Google's nano banana. Yeah, because it always has to be food, right? But ultimately, yeah, it's not a huge move. We didn't break out any of those highs, and it's not a lot of extra volume, but I think it's just, the market's been bouncing, and Meta's kind of going with it. I don't see anything in particular with Meta. IBIT, it's hard for me to, I can't get super bullish yet, unless we're above an IBIT 51.5, unless we're breaking out that 90K level again, just based on the last couple of sessions. Right? Like, look at the reversals. Every time we've pressed through 88, which is about this, like right here, this $50 level on IBIT, eventually we failed somewhere under or around the 90K level, which is the 51. So until we're busting through, and on IBIT's going to be 51.50. As long as we're not through there, I'm looking fade at this level again. And I know, like yesterday was frustrating. It's one of those, and I gave the grade. I didn't give myself a good grade on a green day, and I talked about this because the one thing that really didn't work was me on IBIT, despite the fact that I liked it short, which is just frustrating. I ended up actually making money shorting BM&R instead, which I might do again. But no, 51.5, the 90K level on Bitcoin, I'm still a fader up there. And if it does another rejection like yesterday, then I got to be in it.
Yeah, I think we talked about some of the pullbacks that Bitcoin can potentially have, right? But it's holding up its own pretty well. I want to look at some of these prior day levels here. Some strong selling at this 90, some strong selling at this 88. Maybe we push past that today, or maybe we come in, ping that, test it, and supply just continues to come in. You can see here it's been very consistent, just over a shorter time frame right here. I'm just looking at a 15-minute chart. You can see Monday aggressive selling through the 90. Wednesday, aggressive selling through the 90. Yesterday even, didn't get all the way up to 90, but pretty aggressive selling here in the same area. So the question becomes, is that selling going to come back in on a day like today? That's the only thing I'm asking for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Things up here with CoreWeave, the Department of Energy's Genesis mission. CoreWeave is going to join said Genesis mission. Nice bump after the close. You can see yesterday on that, we're back above 71, which was the high going back to not only 2 days ago, but late last week as well. We ran into 71 a couple of times. But government contracts, never a bad thing.
Never a bad thing. They're typically high margin and pretty sticky, Brendo.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. Federal initiative. It's focused on here. The Discovery Sciences strengthening national security and, of course, U.S. energy innovation using AI supercomputing. The company, CoreWeave, that is going to provide a multi-purpose AI-built cloud platform tailored for advanced scientific workloads. They also plan on expanding their exposure to federally funded long-duration contracts, which, as I mentioned, typically sticky and higher margin. Earlier this fall, they took initiatives to kind of get into the position where they are now. They launched CoreWeave Federal, which is a dedicated business unit within the company aiming at delivering secure, compliant, high-performance AI cloud service to the U.S. government. And the DOE Genesis mission fits obviously directly into that strategy. They also got the nod today from Citi, resuming, I don't know why they stopped covering them, but they resumed coverage on CoreWeave with a buy rating and $135 price target, up from the down, I should say, from the 192 they had prior. So they kept that buy rating, but they dropped their price target markedly. They say 85% quarter-over-quarter bookings growth in Q3 is kind of offsetting near-term pressure, but they describe the demand as robust, but they're still worried, as most analysts are, about the spending, the capex, about to meet the demand.
Yeah, it's been the story for CoreWeave since day one. Just be aware here, CCL flying around, I just heard. I mean, we're right back to basically where we started, but earnings coming across here for Carnival looks like mostly green numbers I'm seeing for this. EPS 17 cents versus 18, the only one standing out there. 248 versus 242 on full year 2026 adjusted EPS. So some of the cruise lines might be a little bit volatile here. CCL, though, trying to get back to the upside, guys.
Yeah, of course. Like, do they on purpose keep reporting closer to the open? Like, if it was like 9 o'clock, it was like 9:15. Like now it's like almost like 9:20. They're gonna come. Whatever. It's kind of silly. But they missed on their revenue by a little bit, so maybe that's why it's gonna be a bit mixed. So I'm not gonna be. It needs to be absolutely clean, because if it wasn't breaking 29, I wasn't interested in CCL. We'll check back on this. Not really the kind of movement that I was looking for, unfortunately. We had mentioned like, big levels on CoreWeave that we're bouncing away from, and no questions asked. IPO breakout price, recent support here at 65. You've got yourself a nice rounded bottom here. If I wasn't looking Palantir and Tesla at the open, it probably would be CoreWeave. But it's consolidating for the rounded top breakout. Not a lot of volume here. That's the only thing that concerns me. And on a side note, you can also look at 178. 178 half, and I know this is the exact same price that Palantir has it, or kind of the reverse of what Palantir's price is, 187 half, 178 half between the two. But this is a very similar setup on NVIDIA to what it is on Palantir. We have multi-day resistance at 178 and a half that it could try to chew through. The difference between Palantir and NVIDIA, Palantir is right there for a breakout. NVIDIA needs to climb almost $3 to get to that resistance level. So this one will be on the back burner for me with NVDA, not on the front of the mind, because it has to move a heck of a lot more to get to that particular price. And just so you guys can see, NVIDIA is a 1.7 million sell early, Apple a 1.1 million sell, Amazon a 750,000 sell, Alphabet a 700,000 sell, Microsoft a 500,000 sell, Netflix a 477,000, you guessed it, sell. So all sell imbalances for the Mag 7 names. Anything that's buy is something else like BAC or PCG. So they're not gigantic. The bigger imbalances will be at the close, trust me. But all to the sell side early.
Yeah, definitely. I think right here, you know that sell it all meme?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm definitely let's see right here. So this is how I'm feeling right here. Sell it all today. That's how those imbalances are looking like
Margin call
as of right now. Great, beautiful movie. But yeah, CoreWeave, interesting price action here. Kind of bidding up, consolidating yesterday sideways after like, what is this? Strong days of selling last Wednesday. We kind of break down that range low on Friday. Monday we come in strong selling. Tuesday selling. Wednesday selling. Yesterday consolidation. Little bit of a gap up here back into some of these prior intraday levels. So the question becomes, is that selling going to step back in, or are we going to take a little bit of a reversion coming into the end of the week? Because just looking at the trend that we've been holding this week, just draw a simple trend line right here. We kind of broke that yesterday, consolidated sideways. So the question becomes, do we do a bit of continued push on the day today here? I don't know where that anchors from, probably from earnings. Yep, from earnings. So that earnings anchored, so earnings happened, when is this? On November 10th. So it's been a few weeks there, but that's sitting at 79.52. So do we do a bit of a mean reversion? You can see here it did respect the anchored until it didn't to the downside. So that's what I got looking. That's what I'm looking at for CoreWeave.
Ooh, big spike.
But yeah, what's going on with?
Well, NVIDIA just flipped from a sell imbalance to a buy imbalance of 800,000. Oracle's now a buy imbalance of 600,000. Apple flipped to a buy imbalance of 500,000. I didn't see Tesla on the imbalances, but suffice to say, everything that was a sell imbalance just flipped to a buy. That is not my screen. This is Tesla right here, about to breach the 490 mark. I don't know whose screen that is, guys, but
that is not the appropriate.
It is not ours. So we can get it. There we go. 490 about to break here on Teslas. That's headed to the upside with 1 minute to go. One of the names that we didn't quite get a chance to talk about is TLRY, and the Cannabis names obviously got rug pulled yesterday. The announcement was not what everyone was looking for. I actually like a 13 fade on TLRY. I'm not sure we'll be able to get all the way up there. This is also a potential flat bottom break. So looking at Palantir for a breakout trade. Obviously Tesla in that 490. If it false breaks this off the open and fails the prior day high, I want to look for any kind of a reversion, but it is witching day, so you should expect extra volume, not always volatility, but certain extra volume at the open. It can be a little bit whippy. I think a little bit more patience on a day like today to not really get too chopped up, right? Or fighting something with multiple trades on the same stock, like in and out, in and out, in and out in the same stock early. Probably not the way to go on a witching day. A little too much volatility, and of course, at the close, I didn't even mention this, Carvana is going to be on watch because they're going into the index tonight. We'll see how that works a little bit later on in the day, but not on the mind to start. Tesla, Palantir, obviously some of the marijuana names as well, as we'll ring the opening bell, Obi.
Here we go. Yeah, a little bit of a bid coming in on few of the Mag 7 coming in right off of the open, but I only have eyes on a few stocks. Like I said before, I can kind of, you know what? I know we like to kind of look at what the watch list is, and so I can show you guys what I'm looking at right off of the open right here. Let me pull in my multi-chart view. So right away, what I do right off of the open is I have a set of 8 stocks here that I am watching that I think are in play for me. I have some levels marked on my sheet. I'm just like, okay, so what are those stocks? I got Oracle, I got Nike, I got PDD, I got Palantir. We just wicked that high, Neil. So that high we were talking about, that 7.5, we just wicked it. I just got that alert as well.
Yep.
Micron on day 2 earnings. I got MSOS. That's a little bit of a day 2.
PDD?
I did say PDD. I got Broadcom and Strategy.
There?
So PDD, yeah, a little bit of a fight happening on that name. So I got to keep eyes on that. Oracle coming into that 190. So let's see if let's see what 190 does.
The even dollar level. Oh, I got a really bad. Oh, my high of the day is going to be messed up all day now, because Palantir just hit 188, but for some reason my thing says 205, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm only giving this to the 187. Like, I only want to give this to the even. I just took some out in front of the even dollar level. And on a Friday, on a witching day, like every single even dollar kind of matters on a day like today, but 190 probably matters the most. At the same time, everybody, Tesla's just wicked the 490. So Tesla got to 490 and change. I think I have like maybe 40 cents higher it got to, and that's about it. And now starting to come back in a little bit. So Tesla was going and now starting to pull back. So I've scalped half out a Palantir at the first even dollar, but I want to give the rest, give it a chance to open a second candle for a reload. But if we don't open the second candle holding strength, then I don't need to add back into this one or be fighting it. Bitcoin's not doing much of anything early on here, but Palantir on the move, Tesla on the move, NVDA actually on the move upside here, Obi.
Yes, sir. So yeah, I'm kind of watching this Oracle. It was holding this 190, a little bit of a strong push, but okay, if we're going to take it out, we're going to take it out. So we are kind of getting some strong bidding here through that 190, through some pre-market levels here. On Oracle, we talked about that 192, 193 area. So we have entered this 191 as of right now. So Oracle coming in with a strong bid. But hey, look at the market as well, Neil. Strong bid happening here on the market at the same time. The question becomes, do we have a little bit of a stall? That's an aggressive push. There goes Tesla wiping all the way back down.
My goodness.
490s, it was just that. 486s, so another failure to follow through in this area of supply that we've been seeing.
That's your trade
from yesterday. It's one of my trades, yes. But yeah, I'm watching this Oracle a little bit closer. I might be a little biased. I'm just like, all right, we got some fresh news on this one overnight. The blue ocean trading was pretty decent. Let's see if the open market trading is anywhere near the same. What else is going on? I'm looking at Micron as well. What's Micron up to here?
Palantir right to target. And Obi, what did it do?
Go.
It wicked the 190 level. So remember, this is exactly what we're saying. We're like, it's going to go 187.5, and it's going to press to this high. And when it breaks, 189, the turn at 190 is going to be the play. So there's the 190 level. I just got trailed out. Now, obviously, I do this on breakouts all the time. And sometimes, look, man, sometimes I will get out and it goes to 195. I look like an idiot. You just have to sort of stick to whatever your plan of action is going to be. So I might end up one and done on Palantir because that was like that clean breakout, and it gave me pretty much the move that I was looking for. Wanted to make sure I was scalping at the levels I wanted. Once it broke the first dollar, hold the rest for the $2 upside. But the thing that happened is we didn't get Tesla. So the other trade that I liked off of the open was the false break of 490 on Tesla. You know what? You can't have it all. And this is the kind of trade you got to be on Tesla and not Palantir to do this. There's your wick top on Tesla. Look at the rejection. So I'm not chasing this short. I mean, obviously, it'll probably end up that maybe this short was better than the Palantir long. I don't know. Yeah, it might end up this was a better short, but I'm not going to chase it. Not going to chase Tesla there. IBIT heading to the downside. I kind of like that short, but it never popped up. So I'm going to be looking patiently for the next trade. Hopefully, it'll be a trend down in Bitcoin because that's what I was looking for yesterday. Still an inside day for them. And I see you're in Oracle, but I saw in the chat someone saying, Neil, look at silver. I didn't look at silver this morning because there was a lot of other things to look at the open. On a witching day, I'm usually thinking equity. But silver, another strong day. Is it going to make a...
Wow, Micron is going.
60.5. Micron?
Yeah, Micron's coming into prior day's highs right there. NVIDIA's coming in as well. So we talked about that prior day high. Where is that? That's at 263.66. If I remember correctly, that's pretty much within $1 of all-time highs. I think it was 264 and change on Micron. So let's see how we do through that opening, or not opening range, through that price area right there. All-time high push on Micron potentially in range here. We tried to push through this level yesterday. Sellers were pretty aggressive around 262s, and it's coming right back into this area. Look at that big stick straight up, $10 to the upside, 252s to 262s as of right now. There goes Oracle stopping me out once again. So I guess we're going to chop around this 190, but this market is definitely very, very strong, aggressively strong. So Micron, Broadcom is coming in. Yeah, Tesla kind of does its own thing, man.
Tesla's doing its own thing.
Tesla's gonna do
the weed stocks are absolutely, I don't have the up and smoke one. Dang it. There's literally an up and smoke one, but I don't have that one. TLRY's down 7%, absolutely cratering right now. But it is these chip names, as you said, Obi, that are going ham as we speak. So NVIDIA's up 2.2. Oh, that 178.5 is big resistance on NVIDIA. Remember we were talking about this level? I guess it got there pretty quick. 178.5. It's already wicked and starting to pull back. Remember what Palantir just did when it broke out and got to resistance? It's right back in there. So I would expect to see at least a little bit of a dip buy or a dip on NVIDIA before it potentially resumes to the upside. Someone just asked if FJet is a halt. I do not know if that is true. That is the IPO from yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops. That is a Nasdaq. No, it's a New York stock. What is FJet? Is it Amex? Maybe FJet. No. It is Amex. It is. It's an Amex stock. My bad. I thought this was a New York stock. It is halted. So FJet, the IPO from yesterday, is halted to the upside. I see a tap of 1033, but that's because on the NYC NIZ market, we do not get a theoretical auction price like we do for the Nasdaq in New York. So it's opening a little bit lower for anyone interested in. This stock does not do a lot of volume. Liquidity is not good at all. I'm not touching this stock with a 10-foot pole. I said that yesterday, and I'll stick with that here today. So just going to jump right back over to, for myself, IBIT. Just want to keep going on the names. Follow the plan down the line, and part of that plan is to listen to Adara when she's got news.
Keep an eye on CAG here. This was an earnings play. They just reported this morning. It looks like they just finished their conference call. I'm seeing a summary come through. They do expect organic mix sales growth in the second half of the fiscal year. Apparently December actually had some delayed shipments from Q2 finally materialized. So they have some early momentum. Market does not seem to like this call. CAG, not bad volume on this either, guys. Just be aware as well, we are going to be getting the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment print at 10 a.m. I'll, of course, be giving that to you guys as we send you back to Neil and Obi. Do make sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, we definitely have to watch out for that 10 a.m. number, but we also have to watch out for this top wick that's happening here on the first 15-minute candle on the market here. So we did kind of retrace about 50% of the move there. So I guess Tesla kind of maybe knew what was going on before it actually happened, because Tesla with the selling coming in, the only one, I guess, you know what? I take that back. Not the only one that's being sold off now. We got Softy selling off, coming into its pre-market lows there. Amazon as well, Alphabet as well. So yeah, that pop didn't last too long on that one, but Micron still making a beeline all the way up to 262 halves now. That all-time high coming in at 264. So that's well within range now. Prior day's highs coming in on Micron right now. Okay, let's see, let's get specific. Where is the chart? Right here, MU, let's pull that up. Prior day highs is coming in at 263.66s, and we're trading right there as of right now. So let's see how convincing and aggressive this break comes in. Is it distinct? I don't know, but we have traveled all the way from 251s to 263s. Are we gonna make another leg above these prior day highs through 264s? All-time highs is right there. There goes Oracle coming in through 191 halves as the market rips right back up. So yeah, I'm saying the probabilities change with every tick. So every little print that's coming in, that was a nice little fade. Now we're bidding right back up. So the buyer's stepping right back in to this market here. So it seems like we're gonna have a strong open across the board, at least in terms of the market here. What's Bitcoin up?
Well, I'm like, Apple's looking really strong here, and I'm still offering Bitcoin. Like, the market's booming. Most of the big cap tech names that are not Tesla are booming higher. I got IBIT, which is trading lower, so I'm still offering that one to play. And then there's a bit of a divergence happening between BMNR and ETH. So BMNR is going up, while Bitcoin and ETH are both going to the downside. Well, you know what? I don't believe you. Is simply what I'm going to do there. So I'm going to take this one because I like crypto short today. And if we're not breaking out highs, going to stop at the quarters and try to get at the evens. Play this one like every quarter or so on BMNR. Oh, did I not pay? Oh, we don't have free locates on it. All right, I have to go pay for locates on BMNR because they're apparently not free. We need MSOS as well. MSOS, I am not
yesterday,
sure.
I think I tried to hit MSOS and did need some.
I thought they were free.
Shorts there yesterday, but yeah, no, we definitely have to make sure for that one there. Oracle kind of pulling back through those 192s. I might be a little too early here. We are trending up pretty decently. Market tailwind on our side as well, or on the side of the move that's happening as of right now. Another name we were talking about in the pre-market that continues to bid up as well, again, alongside the rest of the market, is CoreWeave. CoreWeave, pretty strong push there. Opening range lows coming in at 70.60s, currently tapping on 75s with a high of 74.91. So interesting stuff here. Can we get through that 75? A little bit of an interesting level. I don't know if you guys believe too much in psychological levels, but if they do show up on the chart and there's confirmation that they have respected before, I do kind of want to keep a close eye on some of those areas as well at the same time. So let me know in the chat, what are you guys trading? The open has been pretty aggressively strong to the upside, so longs, you know, definitely getting paid off of the open here. Let's wait and see how long that lasts. Maybe all day, but a little aggressive.
Well, you remember, it's witching day, everybody. Yeah. Volume and volatility is par for the course. Whipsaw action is par for the course. I would not be hesitant to say maybe sometimes you want to bring some registers in there. That said, like, most of these tech stocks are pretty strong. So far, NVIDIA just pressed through those highs. I did get that BMNR. The way I see it, crypto, like Bitcoin, ETH are still heading to the downside. I have a relatively tight stop. I'm only giving this one to the quarters. But look at Tesla. So as strong as the market is, Tesla is just stair-stepping into the downside. As I said, it's a bit of a fail to have not been short that one. But at the open, I just like the Palantir break a little bit better. So that kind of is what it is. Tesla, it does get all the way to almost of a 480 level on Q. So fail break of 490, right to 480, pretty much what you would expect. Double checking on Palantir, it's starting to make a higher low, but, well, I mean, VWAP's not going to, this early in the day, VWAP's not that big of a deal. So I don't really care about VWAP as much as I normally would. Like, later in the session, the volume weighted average price I would respect, but if it can't hold on to 187.5, show me some green candles. It's all red. Since I got it at 90s on the 90 fail, it's been all red candles here on Palantir, despite the market going ham to the upside. And with that, we'll end up 1 for 2. But hey, I have a rule. There goes ETH through VWAP. So that's the thing. If crypto is going to bounce, then you know BMNR is going to bounce. I have myself a rule. Keep your stops tight and try to hold your winners. That's the way. I'm not fighting BMNR, not jumping back into it. I see Bitcoin bouncing. I see ETH bouncing. The market's going higher. We go back to start looking for some of those long positions again, one of which on the note was going to be Apple. But Apple, really not that great. I'm looking at it. Apple failed the high. Apple a little bit range bound. Doesn't get to the 270 level that I liked for a dip. Might just end up being NVIDIA's through 178.5. That's a good continuation play. I know Micron is going as well. This was kind of like the Palantir level. It's just that Palantir did its breakout right away. NVIDIA might need a pullback or some kind of a dip to get into it. Oh, the other thing I forgot. Still want to try to get TLRY short, but that might be too far gone.
Yeah, some of these
lead
things
names in the tank. Market's booming on this witching day, but not so much for these cannabis names.
Yeah, 265s on Micron now. So we did blast through those all-time highs. Let's see if we sustain a little bit here. The market tailwind definitely kind of running this move as well. Got wind in the sails across the board now. So I'm looking at the chip sector, and all I see is strong green candles. Yeah, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, SMH, everything's just straight line up here. Micron as well. Obviously, Micron kind of pulling it up at the same time. Day 2 earnings on this name. So 66s coming in now off of that 64 all-time high break. So when will it stop? I have no idea, Neil, but yeah, this market is definitely pushing it as well. You can see very, very extended 15-minute candle on the first one right here. Here we go. We start our second 15-minute candle of the day as it approaches, as we get past 9:45 right now. So I'm honestly, I'm looking for this buying to become distinctly different to get involved. So we'll wait and see when and if that comes in.
And that's sort of what you should be looking for. You should be patient. You should be waiting for your setups. Like TLRY just only now got a pop back in the VWAP. So yeah, did I like the short off the open? You know, you pick the setup you like the best. If 4 things all happen at the open, and maybe you can get 1 or 2 of them. But let's see if I can't get it now off of the volume weighted average price. TLRY's down, MSOS is down, as I mentioned before. But you have to watch out because MSOS made an outsized move relative to some of the individual names yesterday. So it can fill in some of the gap, and then things like TLRY and CGC could still be weak. But you don't want it, I don't want it pressing past 550 or so. Like that would be a little bit different. So shorting this one off of VWAP. For everyone out there, I know a lot of people are looking at Tesla. No questions asked. Tesla just got back to VWAP and it's starting to go down again. So the market presses back into highs. Tesla is saying no mas. It goes to 485. It's already back down into 484. Tesla is not among strength today. It's going to be the AI traditional plays. It's your NVIDIA, it's your chip names that are strong in here today. I'm a little skeptical of the Intel move that I see, but no questions asked. NVIDIA looking very, very strong, leading the way. AMD, pretty much the same thing. Neither one of these have a red candle in sight. And oddly enough, I'd say a little bit, I mean, almost not to be undone, but remember I was waiting for the next green candle? Let's see a green candle in Palantir to look for a re-entry. Yeah, the green candle was $1.50. Like this is the crazy whipsaw action that we're dealing with right now. Like there's not, like in a breakout trade, it's a clean entry. That, you're not getting a clean entry into Palantir again, unless you're just, I mean, I could have guessed. I could have been like, yeah, it's just gonna bounce here because I hope it bounces here. And it would have been right, but that's not, I'm not playing with hope and that. So I'll stick with a weed name short because they got bad news and play out, but I'm not playing against any of these tech names yet. I'm thinking maybe Intel. But even then, I'll let us maybe get to 10 o'clock before I would even think about shorting one of these tech names.
Yeah, we do have that Michigan sentiment number at 10 o'clock. Let's see how that comes into effect here. But there are some laggards, even though I guess it is mainly the chips here, that are dragging the market to the upside here. Again, Micron through those all-time highs. Oracle continuing to kind of push up here as well. Not a chip name, but you know what I mean. This tech sector definitely pushing with the most strength. Tesla, although, is not really showing us that kind of strength here. So a little bit of a fade. 490s continues to be a little bit of a chop here. So eyes on that Tesla. Amazon here as well, not really doing too much, selling off. It is bidding up now, so a decent reversion here coming back into some of these pre-market lows, but hasn't really broken out with the kind of distinction we're seeing in other places. Let's take a quick look at Meta and Netflix as well. Meta's probably, okay, you know what, I was wrong. I was like, Meta's probably pushing through its pre-market highs. Absolutely not. That thing's kind of a little muted here as well. Let's take a look at NFLX. Okay, NFLX with a little bit of a bid, 95s coming in here now, 93.46s on the day low. So it seems like the shorts on Tesla are definitely winning. The longs everywhere else are definitely in charge as of right now. What are you guys trading? AMD short after it cools, asking for a motorsports. Let's take a quick look at AMD here. So yeah, you gotta have eyes on some of the leaders as well. NVIDIA, Micron with the day 2 earnings kind of running up the sector as well at the same time. So yeah, maybe a fade on this. Another question becomes, yes, you know what? I like this even more. Looking back at it, this is looking really nice here. On Wednesday, some supply coming in here at that 211 area. Question becomes, can it come in again off of the market turn? And it seems like we might be doing that as of right now, as this 15-minute candle, the second one of the day, goes green to red, Neil.
Oh, it does go green to red, but also that's as close to the up in smoke, but I usually use that in a positive sense for the cannabis name, but not today. We just reverted almost back into the low. Got to watch out for this bottoming tail wick. If it does another on TLRY, then I'm going to jump out, but I'm looking for that low of the day print. And if you're watching the lead names, then I have to pay attention to, hey, MSOS is still trending up. And that's sort of the idea. Like, I didn't want MSOS short because it fell way more heavily than TLRY did on that news. So therefore, I felt like this one had some catch-up to do. So when you're doing your stock selection, sometimes the continuation play might not be in the thing in the sector that went the most. It could be the one that lagged a little bit, and then it's going to move more on the second day. Tesla's still looking incredibly weak. You're getting the first real pullback in NVIDIA, and that makes me keep eyeballs on Intel, which was this morning. Intel was nowhere near these highs, obviously. So I didn't even put it on my list, but that's in clear triple top at 37.5. Here on Intel. I might have already missed the wick high, but this could be a back end of the trade. If it does any kind of a lower high that I can play with off 37.5, this one for sure is a short for me. Just I'd rather pick on them than, why pick a fight with NVIDIA? You can pick a fight on Intel. The analogy that was given to me is, if somebody's gonna give you $1 for every basket that you make, you can play against LeBron James, you can play against me, or you can play against a random person on the street. You're probably not going to pick LeBron James if you actually want to make money. So why pick on the strongest stock if you want to short?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? You're right. Maybe I should be taking some of that advice here, Neil, because I'm trying to short Micron, and I'm not watching Micron. It is pretty strong. Maybe not one of the strongest stocks in the market, but definitely very, very strong on the day today. Yeah, all-time high push is coming in pretty nicely. So I know I'm against the grain here, against the trend. It hasn't necessarily broken the trend either. But I like to kind of feel out the tape as well, especially when I'm not paying close attention to everything at the same time here. So the market did go back to it went green to red. Now we're going red to green here. So teetering off of the open. How much time is left on this 15-minute candle, you may ask? We still have about roughly about 8 minutes left for this candle to finish printing. So it's going to be interesting if we continue to push up. That was a pretty aggressive push. What are we up? We're up about 1% on the NQ right off of the open as of right now. A bit of a sell coming in here on Oracle, breaking back below that 194s. We attempted to get to 195, didn't quite make it there as of right now. There's maybe a bit of a trend break here on Micron on a shorter time frame, but again, let's see if the market tailwind can give us some more oomph as well. I think we have something with Adara.
Tron here, T-R-O-N, seeing some speculation that there is going to be a partnership here between T-R-O-N and C-O-I-N. Coinbase, apparently they're co-hosting an event called the New Era of On-Chain Liquidity at 10 a.m. Eastern. This event was previously announced, but again, now we're like 7 minutes away from it happening. So TRON getting a bit excited here as we await, again, potentially a partnership for TRON and COIN. Again, also in about 7 minutes, we are going to be getting the economic data, mainly the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. I'll be giving that to you guys. Right now, we're going back to Neil and Obi.
Tron, the world's richest man, as everybody obviously knows. And he won it in a hot-handed dice game, last I had checked.
Do you like the old one or the new one?
Oh, I was talking. Okay, I was referencing a Chappelle Show skit.
I know, but the movie Tron.
Old, obviously.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, I'm 45 years old. I like the old one. The new one was cool. I think they're.
I'll be honest. I have
making
not seen the old one.
That's fine.
But I really like the new one.
It probably doesn't age very well. I'm willing to acknowledge that. Yeah, technology was limited back then. I'll leave it at that. Very, very limited. So it wasn't very good. Still tracking some crypto here. No problem, Remain. Bitcoin is back to VWAP while the market's at the highs. So clearly it doesn't have as much strength. And we're back at the 88,000 level. There you go. We're basically right at 88. ETH is checking in just underneath 30,000. Oh, sorry, 3,000. My goodness, if it was at 30,000, that would be insane. Just underneath 3,000. So you're back at some pretty key resistance levels. If we start losing VWAP, that might be the jam, but I'm reminded of yesterday. Yesterday, this is exactly what I did. I waited for it to get into VWAP, then I shorted it there, and then it popped back and double topped. So if I like to short, I should play it off the high instead of off a red line on a chart. So I'm going to wait for that top. There was one earnings name we didn't really get to cover too much, and that was going to be CCL. They did beat on the top line. They missed on the bottom line. Sorry. They missed on revenue. They beat on EPS, and their guidance was a beat. They are booming right now. You're up 5.5%. You are now through that $29 level on the way to 30, way too close to 30 to buy it up here. This is why I don't like CCL. On earnings days, I usually don't trade it till after 10 o'clock because you get the earnings like 5 minutes before the open, and then you have to decide what you're doing. Then they have the conference call. There's a lot going on. So I'm going to wait for any kind of a pullback off the $30 level. Palantir is still... Okay, now it's starting to make a little bit more sense. So Palantir's pulling back, and VWAP is chilling at 189.5, but it just did a nice little dip. Which is kind of what I was waiting for, something a little more orderly. Like if it can close a little tighter for another dip buy into Palantir, it was just a clean breakout trade, but it's still going up 2%. Obviously 190 could be a thing on a Friday, but if this closes green, I'll take a secondary shot there. So waiting short, I have an order on IBIT to get short about 20 pennies from here. Palantir, we can look for a long. And Jay Walken, SoFi, can you please move more than 30 or 40 cents? SoFi is it's a less than $30 stock. Like that's 1.5% back and forth. Like every time somebody yells about, let's just say, like if Tesla went $7, would you be happy? Probably that's 1.5%. Nice. So 1.5% on SoFi is 40 cents. It's all relative. Like that's just like literally that's how it works. So if you're unhappy with $7 on Tesla, let's just say, then you can be unhappy with SoFi moving 40 pennies. That's perfectly fine. I think that's a pretty solid range for SoFi today. I love the fact that it's breaking out as well.
Yeah, we're holding these highs here on Micron, kind of consolidating at the high. So to me, I'm just like, all right, the probability of breaking through those day highs at 268.40s is increasing a little bit with this. Bless you. With this kind of action here, Oracle's still kind of holding lows, but holding a little bit lower through those highs. But you can see here this consolidation happening. Again, I'm watching this consolidation above VWAP. So again, a little bit against the grain here at the same time. But I'm going to be patient. The 15-minute candle still has about 2 minutes left to go.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? While you're waiting for the next setup, take a look at Beta Pro by Globex Canada. They're the largest provider in Canada of inverse leverage ETFs, and they got a few new ones in there for everybody. 3 times bull and bear exposure to the S&P TSX 60, to semiconductors, to the US Treasuries, and till the end of this year, December 31st, everybody, they're dropping their fees till 65 basis points, so you can get more pure performance as well with their currency hedging. If you're tactical, sophisticated trader, and interested, check out that QR code, scan it right now, go to betapro.ca, 3x daily to learn more information. Shout out to them for sure. Chris says IBIT to 75K, let's go. Well, it's not getting there today. Chris, all right, I'm gonna take the bid comes in again at a higher low on TLRY, which I'm just gonna take this time. Bitcoin is still, it's trending up. We're not gonna get to 75K this way. Because we're holding higher lows. But instead of playing VWAP, see this, you learn from yesterday. If I'm going to short it, it's going to have to show me a double top and fail. This is what happened yesterday. Double top, lower high, flush. So it was pretty bullish early on and then eventually faded. That's what I'm going to wait patiently for sure. So just checking back in on NVIDIA for everybody. That's still looking incredibly strong. TLRY, I'm not going to hit the weed Batman or anything. That just came back in the low of the day. So VWAP to the low on TLRY. NVIDIA, I'm not going to be joining. And congratulations to anybody that, where's my button? Congratulations! CoreWeave.
That was the one.
$77. This was, there were a lot of these local breakout plays. You know, Palantir was okay. That was pretty good. Won a couple bucks. CoreWeave was the one. CoreWeave was definitely the one. But there were a lot that were setting up this way. You just had to pick and choose. That's why we're on at 8 o'clock. You can't take every single trade. We could cover every single opportunity that looked like this. CoreWeave looking fantastic, doubling its overnight gains, and then some on CoreWeave. Let's go to the desk. We've got Adara, and we've got numbers. Right? Yes. Or happening now. One of the two.
Well, of course, we'll start with these numbers because we have them about 20 seconds. I've mentioned the University of Michigan sentiment print a lot here. 53.5 is the forecast. 53.3 was the previous print. But we're also going to get existing home sales. 4.15 million versus the previous of 4.1 million. So we're expecting a slight uptick. I have to mention as well the 5-year and 1-year inflation expectations. These are also part of the UMich print. And we should be getting them now. 52.9, so a little bit lower than expected here for the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. Existing home sales also a little bit lower than expected. 4.13 million versus the aforementioned forecast of 4.15 million. 5-year inflation expectations exactly in line here with estimates 3.2% versus 3.2% expected, but the 1-year inflation expectation actually a little bit higher than what we were looking for, so 4.2% versus 4.1% expected. So to summarize these Michigan numbers, what we're seeing here is a little bit lower than expected consumer sentiment and higher than expected 1-year inflation estimates, and the market clearly does not care because we just keep pushing higher. Nice breakout here for the QQQs. Let's talk here about ORCL because interesting note here, we do have reports coming from, I saw Axios and the Associated Press amongst others, suggesting that TikTok has signed a deal to sell its U.S. entity to that joint venture. We heard about this going back to, I think, September, but it looks like this deal is going to close on January 22nd, and Oracle is going to be involved, combined with Silver Lake and MGX based in Abu Dhabi. They're going to together own 45% of the U.S. TikTok. Let's talk here about NKE, one of a handful of earnings names today. Nike with a double beat, but their Greater China revenue not impressive, down 17% year over year. Their Converse revenue also notably struggled. I want to mention as well, again, not the other earnings, only earnings name today. We have FedEx, BlackBerry, Conagra, Lamb Weston, and CCL, among others. Before we send you back to Neil and Obi for more trading action, I'm going to take a moment to thank our friends at Origenics. Millions of concussions, 0 approved therapies. Origenics, trading on the NYSE's OGEN, is advancing a new standard with its intranasal brain-first approach to concussion treatment. With an $8.9 billion market on the horizon, Origenics is positioned to drive what comes next. See what's ahead. Book a meeting today. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to tune in for more trading action. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara. Appreciate it. Be careful up here. I'm seeing a little bit of a turn in NVIDIA at the 180 level. Tesla's failing VWAP. The name that I liked to pick on, I sort of said already. It's setting up pretty well. It's just going to be Intel. It's now double topped. I said I'd wait for a lower high. That's what it's doing right now. So there's your double top at 37.5. There's your trend since the break. It breaks this trend. I give it to the high. That's pretty simple. So that's going to be the plan of action. If we get another pop, might get a secondary shot at TLRY to the short side as well. And then IBIT, Bitcoin does not get back to the highs, unfortunately. So it's still relatively weak. It's just hugging the 88,000 level is Bitcoin, as you can see, like back and forth. Like when I look up, every second it seems like it's dropping beneath 88,000 then back. So it just needs to kind of pick a direction off there, and then I can maybe make a play in BTC. But here we go. There's a trend break. Someone decided to join at 34. So I'm going to try and get 33 short in Intel. Give it to the high of the day. Look for the VWAP retracement here on INTC. As NVIDIA is turning as well. So just be a little bit careful. It's like the second red candle, significant red candle on the day. Excuse me, for NVIDIA. It just came in. Oh, I have a frog in my throat. It just came in through 180. One of the reasons I like the short now in Intel.
Yeah, a little bit of a turn there happening on the chips. So yeah, back through 180. You know what? I kind of like that. Micron's coming in here as well. We did kind of get involved. I tried once. I tried twice. Third time's a charm apparently, because that's coming in nicely now. 262s is that VWAP level. So I got 262.78s here on my other chart. Let's see if we can get all the way down there. Don't forget, this is that all-time high. That was 264s and some change. Does that resistance, that prior resistance, turn into support now? That's the next question I'm asking. That could very well happen. Again, Micron a little bit choppy. When I was trading it yesterday off of the open, oh man, was it aggressive. I was just like, this is absolutely ranked price action, craziness. Some of the I guess buy algos and sell algos or whatever participants that were participating in that move were swiping the book $2 at a time sometimes.
Swiper, no.
I remember I tried to hit short, or sorry, I not hit short. I tried to get out of my position at 262s. I crossed into the bid at 262s. As soon as I hit that key, Neil,
bye-bye.
I did not get filled. It was at 260. I was just like, all right, well, there goes $2 off the long. Thank you very much. But sometimes it just be like that.
I always say if that happens to you, at least you were transacting you were trying to engage at the right price.
Someone was just faster.
Because someone
was just faster. And sometimes a gamer's worst enemy is lag, and some of those with the aggressiveness and the speed that the book was moving around, I could definitely feel the lag in terms of execution, seeing things happen, watching the tape, and then the price actually coming in being like, nope, you didn't get that. All right, cool.
No fill for you. But
I got to cross harder. That's basically what we're told me, because I looked at what my cross was.
You mean cross farther?
Yeah, cross farther, cross deeper into the book.
Yeah, you can't put a message with your that says
cross harder.
But I really, really want this fill. I think the market may.
No, I mean no. There are certain gates where like you can portray demand.
Okay, true.
Right. I can be like, you can either get paid to get fills, or you can pay to get fills. So
that is true. It's slightly more aggressive. Wow, the bid just picked up. So this was just to give you an idea of what just happened, maybe slightly on NVIDIA, but I certainly saw it on Intel there. You were kind of breaking this trend. You had the topping wick candle on both of these, and it was just cruising to the downside. Someone just swiped it back up on a couple of the chip names. So there is still there's a lot of strength here. But we did get to a big spot on the futures, right? Let's just go back, ignore here. Like we're getting into a big level from a few sessions ago, the 25.6 level. And anything that was prior support and resistance on a witching day, it's just going to matter a little bit more. So I saw the ES right up into highs from a couple of days ago, and then a similar resistance level there on the NQ. Whether or not we push through, we'll see. But I waited till at least something set up for a short trade to jump into it. But man, like some of these names are absolutely fun. We talked about Micron, Obi.
Yes.
SNDK goes right to that. SanDisk goes to that 240 level. So it is almost at this local high. Pretty much got there. Like 245 is a local high on SanDisk, and it's starting to turn around. So if this puts in a red candle, I need to see Micron break down though. Like my rule was, I only want this short if Micron is breaking down. So if I don't see Micron failing, then I probably don't end up in this short. But big time move in all the chip names, but the memory names going absolutely ham. I got my bids out to the volume-weighted average price, and I'll hold on to a piece for the dream in Intel. And yesterday's runner is also today's electrified runner. Rivian up another 5 points today. And look at the program trade going on here. So off the open, clean, but a little bit of like, that's almost like that algo program trading, holding it upside, right? Like there's a seller obviously at the quarter, but there's so much buying, but they're being discreet about it. They're not pushing it through that seller too hard. They're just gently easing it to the upside. So controlled, very controlled price action right now in Rivian. But here comes Intel. I'm playing for VWAP. I'll be 3/4 out if it gets to VWAP, and then I'll see if it can go through the volume weighted average price. I always forget to save my trend lines, just so you guys can see why I got in.
Yeah, no, great short there on Intel, Neil. Absolutely solid. I think that's a good choice in terms of some of the shorts that are potentially coming in here. Let's take a look at AMD, because we did have one of the members in the chat say that they were looking for that AMD short. It's holding up its own, man. It's holding pretty much, I guess, even stronger than that of NVIDIA. You can see NVIDIA maybe, yeah, you know, NVIDIA is holding up as well. We did do a little bit of a wick shimmy off of that 80 halves or 180 halves here on NVIDIA. So it is holding up pretty decently. You can see here on the Nasdaq as well. Third 15-minute candle of the day with about, let's see, where's the time frame? Right here with about 6 minutes left to finish printing this candle, and we're kind of just teetering in and around. You can see that price compression. We had expanding. This was it was an expansive candle, and all of a sudden this 15-minute candle a little muted. Let's see how this one pans out here on the day here. There's NVIDIA pulling back in, beautiful. So yeah, even if you want to draw a little bit of a trend line here, let's see, take it off of here. You can see pretty decent. Once that breaks, we're getting a little bit of selling. So the question becomes, what I always like to ask is like, all right, can we work with some structure here? If we're going to pull back in, where is the next place that I can potentially look for something to happen? That's this low right here. You can see there's a bit of volume on here as well. We've broken back below that candle low right here. That did have some decent volume. That candle's range is from 180.19 to a low of 179.77. Currently trading at 179.5. So we did break back below that high volume candle there. Maybe a lot of players pushing into that 180 break. Right? People like to play, breakouts as well. So when I see that volume, I'm just like, all right, there's participants that have taken the 180 push, right? Or maybe there was a seller sitting, who knows? There was a lot of transactions that happened through the 180, right? I'm sure if we go down to an even smaller time frame, we can see that there's going to be that push through the 180 probably did the most volume here. So we're coming back into this structure now, so that's what I'm watching next. Where is the next structure? 179.21. We're only about 9 pennies away from that. And then VWAP I have here sitting at 178.77. So the question becomes, when it comes to reversions, I like to keep it simple. Where's the 50% reversion coming in at? So let's just measure this leg here on NVIDIA, because NVIDIA is the leader. So we can do about a rough estimate. So that's about $5.10. So let's take a look for a pullback of, it's at $2 and let's say 55 right there. So 178.14 is where I'm seeing a 50% pullback, and that kind of confluences with this initial structure here as well. So then I'm like, all right, if this breaks, then we come back into here. That's about a 50% pullback. That's in and around VWAP as well. So let's see how we behave in and around those levels. At the same time, the market is doing a little bit of a doji dance here with about 3.5 minutes left to finish printing.
We get a big mover here on INFY. So Infosys, I haven't seen a particular headline for INFY here. The last headline I have is from a couple of days ago, so I don't think this is what's going to be moving it here today. 38% halted to the upside on volatility. You're going to see this with a tap of 26.57. So bye-bye Infosys. I'm going to keep the ear to the ground. I haven't heard anything in my ear on it, and I haven't seen anything that I can find in the wire. But it is obviously going a little bit crazy. But you know what? There's a lot of things that are going crazy to the upside, no questions asked. As mentioned, NVIDIA pulling back a little bit, so that's why I got an Intel. Almost to the volume-weighted average price. Just which you're just going to move from like trade to trade, put the reversion on. If it bounces off of VWAP, I will move my stop. I've already moved it from the high to the prior, well, not the actual bar, not the prior bar, but the bar that broke the trend in here. So if it breaks like 5 pennies above break even, I'd be out of it. But once we bounce off VWAP, I will tighten that up to the quarters. For sure, don't want this to lose. I wouldn't want even the last piece to turn into a losing trade. And I shouldn't be so picky about the line on the chart because Stocks will bounce where they want to. If I see a buyer at 5s, then I should be willing to take it out in front of 10s. Line of the chart's a line of the chart. It's gonna, the buyers are gonna come in wherever they happen to come in. I just saw that up there. Oh, it's still
mask on.
Yeah, so anyways, if you're just tuning in now, our stock visualizer, which is usually a very amazing representation of the most interesting names in the market or what everyone's talking about, today we have to ignore the one in the middle. I implore everybody to understand people were just having fun. We're just having some fun with that mask stock. There's nothing that's happening with it. Palantir is up there for actual reasons of actually doing something. It's still going higher, up 3%. Palantir is still breaking out. At least that is has a good reason for being on the visualizer. And then Tesla, unfortunately for bad reasons.
Oh, what?
Tesla's still trending lower. It's flat on the day, but look at the wedge pattern forming on Tesla. So you've got a real nice wedge forming on Tesla. Oh, it would be nice, Tesla, if you could break this wedge to the upside. Pretty sure that's what everybody wants. And Adara,
I was going to say it's funny because obviously they're not in the visual, but I was looking at this to kind of see what like small caps you guys were looking at. Not many is the answer, but did you know NEAL, OBI, and JOE are also tickers that are trending? Guys, put the tickers in the real tickers with the dollar sign.
Yeah, exactly. It is not those. As everybody, thank you very much, Adara. See, and this is the thing. I should have known, and I completely messed up because like I have a tendency to I'll see something and I'll say it, or I'll be curious and I'll just say it out loud. And it wasn't until after I walked into the mask thing that was entirely my fault. I just assumed it was a stock that was moving because it was on our board, and then I realized it's because you guys put it there, and then you guys doubled down. Obviously, NEAL and OB are not actual symbols, unless you're trading the London Stock Exchange, where actually it is one. Apparently, OB is a symbol. What I also can tell you is DJT,
that's a cherry.
It looks like it's failed the high, so it's kind of pulling back here. Really watch out for the back end of this trade. Be careful. DJT has a history of pumping for a bit and then dumping, and you've already failed one breakout of the high. If you lose VWAP here, it could be a short forever. Despite, it doesn't matter what the president wants. Like the stock's going to do what's going to do. It was up over 30% yesterday. And people are going to ring that register. I'm just saying.
I have a bit of a confession. Kind of messed up my Oracle trade. I tried to get out of a partial there.
Oh, you got out of it.
Just on 190, was it 191 halves or whatever? A little bit of action happening there. And I got out of everything, unfortunately. And I was just like, okay, cool. You know what? I'm just going to sit on the Micron. The Micron's working out a little bit there. I kind of covered some in and around here. We did break back below that 264. So that's looking pretty decent as of right now. So a nice little reversion happening there. Haven't really gotten a 50% reversion just yet, but maybe we can make our way there. But taking a little bit of partials on that. NVIDIA's bouncing cleanly off its VWAP, so that's looking nice. So yeah, take a look at this. Clean VWAP bounce on NVIDIA. Let's take a look at even a higher time frame there. I like to look at the three-minute chart. You can choose to look at whatever you want. Structure is, again, Michael Noss mentions this, and I love the term as well. Price action is fractal. Right, and you were talking along the lines of this concept a little bit earlier here as well, and I was telling a trader this a couple days ago as well. It's just like, all right, sometimes we can't be so rigid looking for price action to pan out, right? If you're trading on a 1 minute and you're like, this move has to happen on a 1 minute, or this playbook has to happen on a 1 minute, yes, understandable. In the perfect ideal scenario, maybe it comes out cleanly on the 1 minute. But at the end of the day, price action is price action. If it's going to happen, it doesn't have to happen on your time frame, right? If you think and you have the stats to be like, all right, high probability this move is going to happen, you don't know how it's going to happen if it does pan out, right? But it's like if you're looking for it only on a 1 minute time frame and you're getting wicked around, chopped around on a 1 minute, and then it happens on a 5 minute or a 15 minute, guess what? The market did what you probably thought it was going to do.
Yep.
And you thought it was a high probability, but it does not have to happen on the time frame that you're looking at. So do not be so rigid with some of your, with price action trading. I think that's what I have to say. Sometimes, sometimes I'm looking for reversion. Sometimes it happens so cleanly on a 3-minute. Sometimes I'm getting chopped up on a 3-minute. But if I stepped up a little bit, higher and looked at maybe like a 5-minute, or a 15-minute.
I love to
it's
defer.
coming in better.
I love to defer if I can to the higher time frame chart, just so you get try to be a bit more precise
Bigger
in your
picture.
trades. Then it gives you better. It's easier to find targets as well to get out. If you're looking for a target on Bitcoin right now, it's got to be 90K. We just hit 89.4. IBIT just went ham. Speaking of, let me just go to the 15 because this is what I'm waiting. Yesterday's highs are in here, like right about now, like 89.5 or so. We're at. You don't need to see these. Those are from yesterday. Useless. But if we break out yesterday's high, there's still the 51.5 that's up there. On a witching day, like I like reversions even a little bit more, especially on a witching day. It's the third Friday, index rebalancing, all that. So I'm going to let this one get a little bit higher before we take a shot at it, and just want to try to find something. Like it's one thing to like a level, right? Like just to give you an example, like Intel went to my level, goes right into that high. I'm not just going to sit in front of it and just say like it's going to turn here. Like, yeah, like it might. Like if I just sit there, like I could have this same entry on the way up. It's just I don't like that. I don't like that way of doing business. So if we bounce off VWAP, I've already got my stop. I'm now trailing it just underneath break even using this bar here. We break 25. I'll just get out. It did the VWAP bounce. Just take the win and move on to the next. Tesla's still unwilling to break this. It broke the wedge to the downside. The problem is when I want Tesla to go up, like it broke the wedge to the downside. You probably could have shorted that. I was kind of looking for that 85 to break to play back in a 90. It's not happening. Tesla's just flushing today. Like sometimes the stock is just relatively weak and it's just a red stock. And right now Tesla looks distinctly like that. I can want it to go to 490 all I want, but if it doesn't break this channel up, then there's not much I can do about it as it's continuing to pull back here on Tesla. NVIDIA is not at VWAP yet. I want to give it a chance. I want to try to hold on to Intel because I feel if NVIDIA breaks down, then I should be holding Intel through VWAP as well. So NVIDIA heading back in here. As you already mentioned, there will be Micron at VWAP.
Yep.
Testing. It's not just the prior high from yesterday. The other thing you have to consider with Micron is this is a what? All-time. This will be a failed breakout of the all-time high right now on Micron. You know what I said I was going to do if it confirms that? SNDK. So I'm just waiting for that follow through, and then I'll take a shot on SNDK.
Nice. All right, so I do want to get a little bit involved. So yeah, sure, I made a mistake punching out of that oracle, but the continuation is coming in. I'm watching the tape here. Sellers are a little heavy underneath VWAP. Market's making its second red candle of the day. So let's see. To me, I'm just like, all right, that stacks up in my favor. Maybe the probabilities are a little bit more on my side for a potential continuation below VWAP. I could very well be wrong, but we'll see how that kind of pans out. Market tailwind definitely has to be on our side. Let's go with to Adara for small cap recap.
Small cap time, guys. We'll start here with UUUU. That is 4U's. The company's name is Energy Fuels. And they're saying here this morning that 99% purity dysprosium oxide produced at their White Mesa mill in Utah actually qualified for permanent magnet use by a major South Korean manufacturer. So update here for UUUU. Very clearly well received. This is actually breaking new day's highs as we speak. A little bit more stagnant right now is Rising Dragon Acquisition Corp, or DAC. Of course, this is what is called a blank check. Organizations sometimes are a special purpose acquisition corp. They announced as of Thursday after the close that their trust amendment they have here is going to be reducing their monthly extension fee to below $100,000. Last but not least, NRXS, actually also having a catalyst of its own, Neuraxis. They're rolling out a new medical policy coverage for percutaneous electrical nerve field stimulation. So lots of news here for all these small caps, lots to look at as we prepare to send you back to Neil and Obi. But before we do that, we're going to take a moment to share with you guys something that I found. And guys, it is crazy. I am digging in to global exchanges, and I stumbled across BTCC. So they're top 30 globally, but here is the wild part, okay? BTCC has never been hacked. While major exchanges keep getting wrecked, BTCC stays untouched. Zero KYC if you are in the US, Canada, or Europe. And through Trader TV, you can actually get 100 USDT coupons for registering, plus a 15% bonus thing that covers losses up to 15,000 USDT. So seriously, what am I missing here? Scan that QR code for more info and like and subscribe to Trader TV Live as we send you back to more trading action with Neil and Obi.
Obi and I were just talking about some lower time frame charts because Bitcoin and look, IBIT just did a huge reversal. And if you look at yesterday's highs, you're like, well, it just went to yesterday's highs and turned around. The thing about it is yesterday it went up there and gave you an entry. Like you could have easily got in on the second candle when it rejects the high. The second candle, you're already pulling back all the way into the volume weighted average price. So we just rejected 89.5 on Bitcoin and we're right back to that 88 level. Again, looking relatively nasty, but it didn't give you an easy entry on that short, which is a little bit frustrating. I'm still hunting SanDisk right now, but I did want to give you guys an update on Infosys. So it did a second halt. You don't see this very often, where you have back-to-back halts at the same price or effectively the same price, and opened up lower and then broke out again. But it just rejected 30 even exactly. 30 like literally in no sense. It just rejected the even dollar. So there is an obvious level at 26 to 26.5 where it's halted and then reopened, halted and then reopened. If it doesn't hold this on the bid, I think you could be in a little bit of trouble. But 40% to the upside looking pretty good here. But the market's starting to come back in. And if that's happening, the SanDisk is holding really well at the volume weighted average price, or I'd already be in this. And Oracle's right there at the same time. Oracle's right there at the same time. Micron is what I meant to say. It was right there as well. So you have a lot of these things pulling back into VWAP waiting for their next move. I'm already in one in Intel, which is also bouncing off the volume weighted average price. But what a rejection just now in Bitcoin. Be careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. Market's churning as well. We talk about, how, I talk about the 15-minute candle sometimes where I'm just like, all right, well, it's a frame that I like to look at. How much time is left? Because I do like to study, I guess, candle formation. Again, at the end of the day, candles are just a historical representation, a lagging indicator of what actually happened on the tape, right? And you're probably going to have the most conviction if you're actually watching the tape and then confluence that with the candle, because the candle by itself, it can mean a lot of things, but you don't have the whole story. Candles together, structure, maybe you can tell a story over time, but the tape is definitely the place to be there. So I'm a very big, that's a big proponent to what I like to look at there. But yeah, Micron taking a little bit of a breather here in and around VWAP 162s. I was looking for maybe a potential pull into 260s. Doesn't look like that's going to happen right away, even though the market tailwind is definitely coming in a little aggressively. You can see we're looking at NVIDIA as one of the leaders there, and that's pulled back in pretty nicely. Beautiful reversion happening there. We talked about 78s and some change. What was that? Let's go down to 1 minute right here. 78s and some change. That was about a 50% pullback. I think it was 78.18s. We're coming right back into that. So a beautiful, beautiful 50% pullback on NVIDIA, one of the market leaders. Where's the next trade? Where's the next reversion? I don't know if we're going to do that, but maybe we revert the reversion. Because
revert the reversion?
Yes. Sometimes you can. I mean, when things, price action kind of is, it's never really clean. If it's super clean, maybe I like it even better because a participant is definitely showing some intention. Because again, we talk about the market being random. I like to look for things that I think are non-random happening in the market, so that I can play. Yeah, that's the general idea. What is non-random? Can you figure that out? Then there's definitely potential opportunity around that, and you want to look for things that are distinctly different. So yeah, that's kind of the thing here. NVIDIA taking another low. Rivian. Yeah,
I mean,
Rivian definitely.
CCL is distinctly different.
We got to ask
Rivian
Randy
is
about
distinctly
that.
different. Randy is a huge fan of this bad boy. No question asked. INFY is halted. By the way, Infosys is now halted to the downside. I heard it in my ear. I see it on my locator, but I was just about to show you guys, like, yeah, Rivian is still kind of program up. What I would look at for Rivian in particular is look at how clean this channel is. There's a lot of wicks in here, but look at how clean the channel really is. Like if it opens and closes a candle above or below, maybe just play that and wait for it to do so. It's very much like algorithmic style movement there on Rivian. SanDisk just broke through VWAP, and at the same time, Micron is trending down underneath VWAP. This is what I got to watch here. I'm going to give it, because at any moment, my entire thesis for wanting this was when Micron had made a top. But if Micron retakes VWAP, this probably does as well. So I got to respect it and have a pretty tight stop on it because I don't want to give too much back. And I'll wait for some confirmation underneath the volume weighted average price. But I think Rivian is a perfect example. Oh, now I have to redraw that. Of a stock where it's showing you what it's doing. And all you want to do is wait for it to do something different. And once it's doing something different, then you want to pounce. Not yet, but I think it's getting pretty close. Like at some point, it's not going to do this all day long on Rivian. Almost certainly would not do this all day long, but you just have to be very, very patient for it to actually break this channel.
There's a bit of a bid.
Oh yeah, we just caught a
in.
bid.
Yeah, a little bit of a bid.
I'm going to cover this intel as well.
You know what? I like this VWAP here on Micron. I'll leave a little bit of a runner on as of right now, but that's a bit of an aggressive bid coming in.
You know
and
what just
holding
happened?
VWAP as well. What just happened?
Look at the Qs. I just punched out of both the shorts. Like the Qs, I look over, the Qs pulled right back into, it's about 614. Can I zoom it out a little bit further? So you're well above yesterday's highs, you're trend up, you pounce into VWAP, but that breakout, the secondary breakout at about 945, it dipped almost to the penny into that breakout level and gone. The second I saw that, I'm like, out, SNDK. I actually punched out for an even tighter stop than I was going to initially. I'm like, I'm not risking to that. Doesn't even make any sense. Why bother? And on Intel, it bounced off VWAP again. I just punched out. I didn't even let it get to my stop level. Like I see that bid, I'm getting the heck out of Dodge. And when I see that happen, and it's fine, like it is what it is. Like I probably just only saved myself like 8 or 9 pennies on that move, but the entire move was like 30 cents. It's like a quarter of the move that I'm going to save there, and I can wait for the next opportunity. If we still put in lower highs somewhere I like, I can jump back in the trade. And one of the places that I might do so is going to be to look at Bitcoin. See what didn't pop? When I see that happen, the first thing I think about is, hey, did anything not go when the market just bounced? Well, maybe try that. Well, especially if you liked it before. Bitcoin did not. Bitcoin failed, again, at this 50 level, which is 88,000. We can't move away from 88,000. We always seem to accumulate there for a while. So this breaks down. I think this can be a better short opportunity, unless I get a chance at those highs again.
So Oracle on that pop just got right up to VWAP. I was watching it. I had, finger on the trigger right there. Maybe it could have broken through that VWAP, but I was watching it and then slams right back in. I'm like, all right, cool, that's even better. Let's see if we can break below this structure here. I'm just gonna step up a frame here. Let's just start. I was looking at the 1 minute for some reason. I was just like, this chart looks kind of funny. I'm like, yeah, because I'm looking at the 1 minute, I normally don't do that. It's a good thing I got out of Micron, again, one of the stronger stocks on the day. I just want to take a bit of the reversion because I'm like, all right, maybe a little too far too fast. Shout out to anybody who took the long because that's a very valid trade. Aggressive goes right away in your favor, very distinct, and a nice, beautiful push. When those players are kind of done, I do want to participate and take the other side of that as well. 190s potentially coming in here on Oracle as it starts to break down back below VWAP. So that's, again, distinct difference. Both of them, reversions off of the market turn. One of them, I'm like, I really don't want to stay in this one for too much longer. This could very well pan out. But Oracle, maybe looking a little bit heavier than some of the rest. What else do we have going on here? What are you guys trading? Let me know.
CCL
in the chat. CCL, okay, we can take a look at that. That was doing a little bit of a shimmy dance in the morning, right? Let's take a look at CCL here. Carnival Corp. I think, wasn't NCLH doing something a couple days ago? Oh, they had, they had earnings today.
Right before the
wow, grind up. That's a bit of a sustained volume push there. So I got to look at the tape for this one, but it looks like there's a buyer on the tape here on CCL. So I'm going to pull that up. Nike is doing absolutely nothing here. Nothing too crazy. What is, oh, so that's CLL. Let me pull up CLL. That trades on the NYSE exchange. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to keep an eye on that, see if I can find any sort of a distinct buyer on the tape here. Oracle might just stop me out. That was a nice push, but again, like I said, probabilities change with every single print that kind of comes in here. So sometimes with me, sometimes against me. That's fine. I got my stop in. If it hits, it hits. Doesn't matter. Where's the next trade? Yeah, Carnival Corp. What was the other one? Oh yeah, Nike. Let's take a look at Nike. So Nike was a chop fest off of the open. I was looking for a continuation off of the open. We talked about this. I was like, all right, I have a couple iterations of potential price action that I do want to transact with. You know what? Maybe if you saw there was a held bid here around 59s, maybe you got long, kind of chop, 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 chop. It's finally starting to work out pretty decently as of right now. Okay, there's some confluence. VWAP, hello. So holding VWAP pretty cleanly as well. Held it off of the open, held it off of, I guess, about 9, 10 o'clock, and now breaking out of the opening range highs as well is Nike. Bit of a reversion. What's going on, Dara?
Just be aware, guys, Trump is on Truth Social this morning, and right now he is posting, as a topic he's actually mentioned quite a few times as of late, about health insurance. Here's UNH, not a huge reaction here. He shared this post about 4 minutes ago, but it's just getting social media traction now, saying, quote, insurance companies are ripping off America. Healthcare money must go directly to the people, all caps. And then he urges Democrats to, quote, get on board, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Now, this is also significant because I have seen more than one report suggesting that this announcement at 1 p.m. today could at least partially involve more healthcare announcements. There's also more credence for this potentially being about healthcare because we actually know that yesterday, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said that we're going to be getting more healthcare pricing deals before the end of 2025. Back to you.
Oh, come on, MS. Obi was just saying that you had a bit of a bounce. Like, MSOS is starting to really go upside. So I saw this. I'm like, well, I know what I want to do. Go back over to TLRY. I thought if we got to the highs, there's no way TLRY is not back in VWAP, but it's not. But I'm going to look for the reload. This one's been trend down. Obviously, you could have had it at the open, but I was trading Palantir, so it is what it is. But I'm going to look for the VWAP entry again on TLRY. As long as it wants to respect it, then I'm going to jump on over. Clean. Market bounce clean off VWAP. You have NVIDIA bouncing pretty clean off it as well. I was in Intel that bounced pretty clean. IBIT or Bitcoin, everybody, that's also bouncing kind of at the volume weighted average price, just looking for some confirmation on either side. And then the trend that's this really cool trend that's happening in Rivian just did it again. Like, it'll wick the bottom, like it'll try to break this channel, but then it'll always end up sort of finding its way back into the channel by the next bar. So there hasn't really been like an open and a close underneath or above this channel, but I'm 100% taking this. I feel like in either direction once it breaks out on Rivian. Sometimes you see a pattern and you're just like, okay, there's a trade-off of that pattern for sure. And shout out to Machiavelli in the chat. Ooh, appreciate you. DJT, 10% to the upside. There's some kind of a fusion like pun that I could make, but I'm not a Dara, and you're a pun master, but I'm sure you could. Well, it's blowing up to the upside. That stinks. But I don't know where. Look, I don't know where the end is going to be here. I don't know if anyone can actually value this business combination that they're making with this fusion company. But I can tell you on the chart that about $18 is the next level of resistance. I mean, you could argue $16.40, but it's here right now. So what's the point? But after that, you're looking at about $18. It's the 200-period moving average. Lots of accumulation there as well on DJT. This is the kind of thing, like if Rivian breaks that channel up, that's the kind of candles I would expect from Rivian in either direction. Well, I'm still waiting for this one to do something. Up 5-6%. I just feel like this one's really going to move off of a channel break for sure. So we'll see. I usually think there's a rug pull coming in DJT when it's doing this. So I'm usually pretty hesitant to want to be in that long. But it's also not giving you any reason to go short, I'll tell you that much. But that's the first parabolic move it's done. I usually say wait till it starts going parabolic before you even consider the short. So now that it is, I'll wait till it gets to 18 or something sets up.
Yeah, this I just looked at this Oracle. I guess I had a prior stop in which never got canceled. So the new stop that I put in never got hit because I already had a stop in there for much higher from the initial short. So that's not so good right now. That's I should have stopped out much earlier here. So kind of manage some mischief on that one there. NVIDIA with a nice strong bounce as well. Again, it makes sense. Market's kind of pulling back in, buyers kind of stepping right back in. So we did take a little bit of a pullback, I guess, from, you know what, I found out there's a bit of a measuring tool here. Right here, does it give me, oh, okay, wow, look at that. That's 3 bars, pullback of about 13 points there. And what is that percentage-wise? 0.05% to pullback there off of that bid on the market. Now, how do I get rid of that? Okay, cool. Oh, nice. That's perfect. I didn't know that we could do that there. Win was showing me yesterday. I was like, the measuring tool. Yeah. I've never. Yeah, because I use that all the time on other platforms just to kind of take a look at the measure move and things like that. Okay, I'm just going to get out of here. This is a little too much here. All right, next trade. Oracle, thank you. Should have stopped out $1 earlier, but you know what? Already covered a decent amount, and I was taking much less size below VWAP, but I had my stop at 191 halves, didn't really hit. Now we're at 192 halves, so I definitely have to punch out of that one there. I think ideally, when you see that happen, you just got to punch out like right away because that shouldn't be in that position in the first place. But sometimes I'm just like a little lazy. I'm just like, all right, let's see what it does for the next minute, and then I'll figure it out. And then I had to pay another $1 for that. So sometimes maybe not the best expenses, but we'll see. Where is the next trade? You guys are talking about CoreWeave right here. All right, let's see how that's doing. CRWV. Wow, this thing, again, holding the bid, distinctly different from some of the other names here. Maybe that aggressive bid coming in because of something that I pointed out a little earlier. I talked about a potential higher time frame reversion. And when higher time frame participants come in, I find that maybe they can be a little price ignorant. They don't really care necessarily about price as much, but I don't know. Okay, so cool. This was the trend break I was looking at. Multi-day sell-off, consolidation, leg back up. So we've reverted a decent chunk of that, about a 24% pull-up from these lows of 63.80 that happened on Wednesday. So currently trading at 77.80s as of right now. Let's see what the sectors are up to with Adara.
Here's our sector board, guys. These sectors are largely positive. Electronic technology looking really good here. NVIDIA, AMD, both up heavily. Micron up really nicely here, up 6% on earnings day 2. But Apple, once again, for the second time in a row during the segment, relatively flat. Then we get to tech services. Microsoft, Google, both doing quite well. Oracle, of course, to the upside. That TikTok deal reportedly set to close on January 22nd. Oracle is a part of this. Palantir and AppLovin also notably to the upside. Finance sector here, we have quite a bit of strength. Energy minerals looking good. Health technology doing quite well. Gilead actually up 3%. And again, keep an eye on the sector around 1 p.m. because as I mentioned earlier, there are some reports suggesting that Trump's 1 p.m. announcement could at least partially involve healthcare. Producer manufacturing, good luck. Consumer services, other than what we have here with CMCSA and Starbucks, generally looking pretty good. Weaker sectors are quite apparent here. It's going to be consumer durables, transportation, and retail trade. There is going to be a slight honorable mention here for consumer durables because while a lot of this sector is strong, much of it is also flat, and Nike is down about 8% here in earnings day 1. Certainly going to hurt that sector a bit as well. Again, we do remind you to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And we're going to send you over to Neil and Obi.
Yes, sir, and thank you very much, as always, Adara. New position for me. Finally did something different. Well, I'm waiting for Rivian to do something a little bit different in this channel. So for the first time, close and open and outside of the channel. So I'm short. If it confirms on the next bar, I think it's an add, and I'll give it to the prior bar high in here. So it's just kind of like, it's actually a standard mean reversion trade that I would usually do. Only I'm kind of looking for this one to press through VWAP based on the action that it's been able to do. And the funny thing about it is, you know what? I could actually do this right now. I have Palantir up on a 5-second. But we were talking about time frames earlier. Yeah. And you can look on a 5-second chart here. Maybe I could go to a higher one, but whoops. Oh, there we go. On a 5-second chart, like you can actually see like some of the whipsaw action on a 5-second. It's even forming a wedge on this time frame. And this can be useful if you have access to something like this. When you're looking at a key price level or you're looking at the open, and we always think about whatever works for you. If it's an indicator or a time frame that's successful, then just keep doing it or hunt for new things. And with that, I want to shout out eSignal in particular because since we've been able to use them, I've added this to my repertoire. Sometimes I will have my 5-second chart up while I am trading a stock at a key price level, just to get an idea. Maybe I might tighten a stop or punch out if I see something distinctly. And with eSignal, by the way, it happens to be still your first month free. Last I checked, free is good. Anytime you can pay nothing, you should probably take advantage of it. It's an easy-to-use platform. I use it every day. Sean uses it every day. Lots of traders here use it every day. You can trade through multiple brokers. You can hook it right up. You got level 1 access. You can look the actual moving quote. It's reliable. Every market you can imagine, every indicator you can imagine, back testing, forward testing, all available for you. And as I've shown you, multiple time frames can be very, very valid. And the first month is free. So check them out. Try them out. No harm, no foul. Scan the QR code you see right in front of you. That is eSignal for sure. You could be, I think it would be valuable to look at almost any symbol. If you're trading it, why not see if that time frame is going to be useful? I now almost exclusively, when an IPO opens up and we're taking that open trade, I will sit here and I'm staring at, I'm not watching any chart. I'm not even looking at my level 2 most of the time. After that, I get the opening print, and I'm just watching the 5-second chart. My stop goes in, but I'm taking my exits based on things that I see on the 5-second chart instead of something else. But going back over to the market, Rivian, look what just lost the bid. Ugh. The market is definitely green.
Look at that.
The Nasdaq's up 1%. The ES is up 0.7%. Tesla is breaking the low of the day. There it is. False breakout at 490, and it just continues to go lower and lower and lower. Adara?
Interesting story here for DJT potentially. Now, this is kind of speculation. That's how it's being worded as well. But Axios reporting that apparently the CEO of TAE, which of course is the company that DJT is merging with, has apparently not ruled out seeking federal funding as TAE looks to build additional plants. Why is it significant? Because, as imagined by the name here, DJT, President Trump is at the very least associated here with Trump Media and Technology Group. So once again here, Axios reporting that the CEO of the company merging with DJT has not ruled out the possibility of seeking federal funding. Back to you.
Yeah, but is anybody actually surprised by that? Yeah, like what are you getting when you merge with DJ? Like what's the think about this
presidential seal.
But that's it. What else would you
getting.
possibly be getting with a fusion company merging with DJT?
Boom.
Outside of the connect.
Nuclear.
You know, it's
exactly.
like why, like let's be real. Why did Marlowe join the co-op in the wire? Because he was the kind of dealer that wanted to play nice with everybody? No, because he wanted the connect. He wanted the good. And that's why he joined.
I mean, look at Elon Musk.
True.
I mean, Doge. I mean, yeah, sure, you did some stuff.
You gotta watch The Wire, man.
But no, I haven't seen that. But you know, maybe Tesla gets some perks because of that, or you know, the businesses around, you know, Mr. Musk get some perks because of that. You know, provide a service. Don't be rude. You get maybe you get some kickbacks. You know, we know a lot about that.
You get one. If you get, let's put it this way, if that company, because think about it, like if you're in, it could be quantum, it could be nuclear, fission, like when you're in that kind of environment, it is all about research, it is all about breakthroughs, it is all about capital. Capital. That's what you need, because you're just trying to float long enough so you can get a breakthrough. So that's what they're looking for, and that's what they, look, if they get it, it could go higher. I've already paid for my locates because this is one where the next key level is now within earshot at this point. So if it gets anywhere near the 18, that's where I would look for a fade. I don't think you want to fight it anywhere else. I can't seem to get into TLRY again, though. I can tell you that much. The wheat stocks went up in smoke yesterday, but I'm looking for that continuation trade to the downside. It just hasn't really happened yet. I feel like yet on TLRY. But I am still in Rivian. Rivian broke the channel, consolidating underneath, so you're getting a little bit of an ad. I got 39s, giving it to the prior bar still, so I'm like risking about 20 cents. Got a couple of bids into VWAP, but it's more into the bottom of that support, and then if it loses it, I think you could really fill the gap in a bit more. So Let's be real. This stock has been going up for a couple of days, but I see that program trading on a Friday, and when it breaks away, had it broke up, I probably would have gone long, but it broke down, so I go short first. And there was something similar happening. What was the other stock? That same channel. It was another stock that was doing a very similar channel.
CCL.
CCL was the other
the one.
on earnings today. Yep. But the difference is, like, CCL is doing that on earnings day. Rivian's doing this without a catalyst, which is a little bit different.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I think again, you gotta find places in the market where distinctly different things are happening, and yeah, there's definitely something to be had in those areas here. I did want to get involved a little bit once again here with the Oracle. But you know, I can't really see too much into the future, but we'll see how far this one can get. Kind of holding that VWAP right now. Market's also turning. I like that confluence. We're getting that fourth red bar in a row now. A bit of a reversion panning out, so continuation. So we haven't hit this low just yet. Either on, or we can call it the reversion low right here, whatever. I don't really have a name for this, but this candle low right here, that's how far we pulled back a little bit earlier. We're headed towards that once again, but if Oracle wants to hold its VWAP here, that's fine. I'm more than willing to be wrong on this one and find the next trade. So Micron kind of pulling back in. It got all the way back up to 266s. Don't forget, I said I just have a trail left on this one. If it does start to do something interesting, I'm more than willing to take some more and get back in aggressively on the trade. You can see here initially, you know, while I'm trying to feel it out, one entry, one out, one entry, one out. When it starts to work, boom, 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 boom. You know, you definitely have to get a little bit aggressive when things are working. What was a quote? There was a good quote that I read recently, and I forget who it's from, but it's like, the market's not about being right or wrong. Nobody cares. It's about when you're wrong, how much do you lose? When you're right, how much do you win? That's all that matters.
You know what?
That's all that matters.
It's crazy how many traders get that wrong. It's so common where it's like the market doesn't care. It's not about your ego. It feels good to get a bottom. It feels good to make a top. But ultimately, every single trade you make, it's how much did you pay for it. If you got a win, how much did you pay for that win? And if you got a loss, was it worth more than that if it worked? And then just do more of that. Like, you'll never see me, I'm not usually jumping around like crazy if on a winning trade or losing trade. Where I get frustrated, Obi knows this, where I will get frustrated is if I did something wrong within my plan. If I flat out screwed up a part of my plan, that's when I'll get upset. And if I follow my plan perfectly, I'm like, okay, great, we followed the plan. And you know what? Sometimes a losing trade, you follow your plan, and you're like, okay, good.
That's fine, yeah.
And I don't lose as much as I could have. I have to have a good example of that. Oh, I know I do. Yeah, buddy. I knew I would. Watch this. BMNR.
Yeah.
You will not see me be mad about that loss. Oh no, I lost on a short of BMNR. Did I want to be short crypto today? Absolutely. Did I stay shorting it after it broke out and no longer was valid? No, I'd be wrecked if I did. But sometimes you're just, like yesterday, you're all right if you're short it. The day before that, you're pretty much right almost every single price or any setup that you took. But you've just got to make sure that when you're wrong, it looks awfully boring and you're not fighting around with it. The same thing with Rivian. Like, if it breaks this top, like, there's my channel entry. If it breaks this high you see right here in this wick, a couple cents away from, then I just get out. I'm not moving my targets, not moving my stop. I'm not getting in anywhere other than where the trade sets up. And if it stops out, and you move on. But you know what? Green on today. Why? Because you let your winners, like when I take a one and done in Palantir, I let it ride. And it continues to go, but that ain't me. Like, I'm going to take my one, get in and get out every chance that I get. Because the way I see it, and Palantir actually might be setting up again. All right, it's a good thing I went to this chart. There's your VWAP pullback, and then there's a bit of a trend down. So this is actually setting up for a bit of a trend break back into the upside. We do have money talks with Adara, and we should be paying attention to the US dollar today. Why? Because the Bank of Japan raised their interest rate last night. So the USD is going to move on that.
Yes, indeed. The Bank of Japan did raise their interest rates. We're at 0.75% right now for Japan. And we know actually this is especially in watch with crypto, the idea that if we did have a decrease in the yen, crypto could go up. Crypto, in fact, did have a decent performance earlier today. Let's actually take a look at the JPY versus the USD. Now, as you can see here on the daily, a little bit of a drop here. We'll go back to the DXY, though, because I do want to take a look here and talk about that economic data that we had. So DXY here actually was on watch this morning as we had the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment print. That coming in a little bit lower than expected, but we also did have kind of a mixed look here when it comes to these inflation expectations. Again, this is I believe the final print for December. We had the preliminary print for December earlier, and last time, the preliminary print, we actually had slightly lower than expected 1-year and 5-year inflation expectations. Now this time, 5-year inflation expectation exactly in line. The 1-year inflation expectation a little bit higher than we're expecting. So even though we did have a bit lower consumer sentiment than expected and a slightly higher 1-year inflation expectation print than we were expecting, the market did not seem to care. It actually continued to push higher, which is an interesting look and not always the reaction that we see. Let's talk here about the CME FedWatch tool, because we are still seeing dwindling chances as of right now. And again, we have over a month, but as of right now, dwindling chances here of that rate cut going forward here for January of 2026. Right now, just 20% of participants expecting a cut, 80% expecting rates to be held. And it's worth noting as well, Fed's Goolsbee yesterday saying that, hey, look, guys, I don't think we need to front run or rush these rate cuts. And it's interesting because Fed's Goolsbee also said in some comments yesterday that he doesn't think there should be too much, quote, management intrigue as we get a new Fed chair. We have an update here in this Fed chair race. I was seeing a report from CNBC this morning suggesting Fed's Bowman is out of the running. Fed's Waller apparently aced his interview, so he is still in the running. And Rick Reeder having his interview next week. So I'll probably have an updated infographic with more details on all of these individuals. Keep an eye on X at TTV Research for more info. Make sure to like and subscribe. It's back to Obi and Neil.
Yeah, just as Adara said, like Waller is creeping on that list. Hassett's still a lead. Warsh just lost a lot of ground on Kalshi. At one point, you were looking like almost like I think it's 40-40 on the top two, but now Waller's actually getting some traction. So it's all over the place. Like I think if you're looking at like Polymarket or Kalshi, like this is moving a ton on who's going to be the next Fed chair. And traders absolutely love that action. DJT continues to go higher. So the market hasn't really made a fresh high in a while, but we keep talking about how Tesla's red, but not this. DJT continues to be green. I can't make sense of this one, but like it's like that visualizer, it's hilarious to me because on any normal day, on our stock visualizer, it should say Tesla and DJT and Palantir. Instead, there is that ridiculous stock mask, which now every single time we pop this up here, I have to warn everybody that that is just people in our chat this morning essentially having a piss with us and kind of trolling us. Mask is not moving, and the penny stock doing absolutely nothing, but everything else on that board is, I think pretty reasonable. Like this is the kind of stuff that you want to be trading today. See, even in the back end, you got CCL in the end there with their earnings. They're up almost 10%, so that's definitely in play. Lunar, which we haven't in Intuitive Machines, which I know what Dara has talked about, we haven't really talked about. That's up 29% and continually going. Everything on that list is worth watching for sure, with literally the exception of the thing that's at the top. I don't know why Beyond Meat is running, but I guess it doesn't necessarily need a reason to go. Beyond Meat is on the move, everybody. Typically not the best in terms of follow through. I think everybody can see that. So I know what I'm doing. If I like reversions today, then I like this one. There's no question about it. Well, look at Beyond Meat's daily chart.
Oh, yeah.
What would you do when the stock?
I mean, that just looks like a beautiful swing short.
Oh, yeah, but
is that a daily?
That's a daily chart.
That's a daily.
But you need a really big move to get a swing. Palantir doesn't. It's trying. Like it's trying to break
from
this down trend.
From the wick, from that huge day.
That's a while back.
Yeah.
You're not getting that.
Yeah. That's why I was like, is that a daily? Is that like a 15-minute? That that was a.
The hedgies get that kind of a short, and then they just keep leaning into it.
You gotta have somebody who gives you good borrow rates, overnight borrows, right? And then you got to have a little bit of a pocket to maintain some risk if we do some crazy moves as well. So I think, but regardless, the swing short game is definitely not to be frowned upon.
The hedgies can always short more when it goes parabolic. And oftentimes, a retail trader,
think about it.
You might not add that option. It's pretty dangerous. It's like if you wanted to fade DJT, you're like, oh, DJT is nonsense. Yeah. This isn't gonna follow through. Like if I'm day trading it, I'm just looking for it to make one move and literally like try like a little scalp trade that hopefully follows through, like get in, hopefully it breaks VWAP, follows through back to the low, like Intel earlier. That's all I'd be looking for in DJT now that it's going parabolic. But if you want to just be like DJT's coming down, I'm just going to short it because it's going down. Well, maybe you were short here like, ha, 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 look at me. And then you add here, look at me. Well, look at you now. Because you're probably a little bit hurt. And hopefully you wore the brown pants today if you've been shorting this the entire way. I am waiting for a setup at 18 because I believe patience is a virtue. But Palantir certainly looks, I keep coming back to this because it feels like it wants to. It's saved this time, Neil. It feels like it's going to now hold VWAP, break trend, which gives me a second entry into Palantir here. The annoying thing is, I don't have the lunch menu, but, and it's the worst part about it is like, if you guys remember, Sean accidentally, like yesterday, he accidentally read the wrong day. He read Friday yesterday.
Okay.
But I don't remember what he said, I'm not gonna lie. Because we actually had meatballs yesterday. Brendan doesn't even have it, but I don't remember what it was. I would do the what's for lunch. Adara, you have a perfect memory. Sean said this yesterday at this time. He accidentally read today's lunch. Do you remember what he said?
Not perfect. I believe it was satay. I'm going to check right now because I actually do have the menu, but I do believe it was from an Asian country because we know we have the themes. It was definitely, I believe, from an Asian country. I'm going to look right now to see what this actually was. But yeah, coming out here as, I'll have to go down to the lunch, chicken satay.
Okay.
There it is. Okay.
Which is, I guess, I don't recall us ever having that one before. So it'll be hopefully something new. I don't think we've had that before. Sounds okay. It's not tilapia. I'll take that.
All right, guys. So for too long, trading meant risking your own money or never having enough to start. The fear of losing, that's what kept so many traders on the sidelines. But that's changing. Trade the Pool is transforming how traders access the markets. With its limited risk trading model, traders use funded capital, while Trade the Pool absorbs the downside. This allows for traders to focus on what truly matters. That's discipline, consistency, and growth. When you hit the profit target, you keep 70% of the profits. No fear, no barriers, just real opportunity. This is the revolution of limited risk trading powered by Trade the Pool. Visit tradethepool.com or scan the QR code now to get 10% off your first eval. All right, guys. So the market is holding a little bit of a pullback. So I did get a little aggressive here on the pull into 193s on Oracle. We pulled back into 192s. I was like, all right, well, do we kind of step back in? The market is kind of fading as well. You can see it held 192, came right back up to 2/2. So I'm just like, all right, cool. If that's not going to do that right away and it's going to hold that trend right above VWAP, then maybe we have some more space to push through 193, even though it's giving us like 50 to 60 penny chops in that range, in that tight range that it's doing. Again, more than willing to re-engage when it looks a little bit better here on Oracle. Seems like Micron is one of the better reversions that I've taken, I guess, on the day today, because 266s I did not reload because I wasn't really watching it, but it's coming right back in, back to VWAP 262.35s as of right now on Micron. So day two earnings, we got through those all-time highs. We blasted through those all-time highs. Not only did we do that, pre-market highs, if you were looking at those, and if you entered on some of those looking for that day two push, you were definitely right on that. And that gave you over $10 of a move there. So let's just, in terms of percentage-wise, let's take a look at the pre-market high here and measure how far up that was. Just a quick measurement. Gave you about roughly 6.68, $16.80 roughly. Okay, no, I did not measure from the correct distance here. Let me just be more specific. So that gave you about, I guess, $13, $14, about a 5.5% run up from pre-market. If you took the pre-market high break, that gave you 5% on the day on Micron. Absolutely beautiful. Now we're getting a little bit of the backside. We get that pullback in, and that's been pretty nice as well. The leg to the downside, I guess, more closer to about a 2% roughly, 2% pullback, 2.5% pullback on Micron. So that's probably my best one of the day. Let me know in the chat, what have you guys been trading?
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock.
Right. You know, time flies when you're having fun.
It is. And we'll be back at 2, but we get to have some Thai food before then, so we'll enjoy that. You guys enjoy Joey options, Sharif the professor. I'm going to guess maybe he's looking at DJT today. And when I say maybe, I literally just
look over,
at the screen, and that's the chart that he has up. So all your small cap action, all your options action, and market action.
Boom.
I know Joey Options has to be looking at some crypto with some of the moves they've had earlier. But we'll be back at 2 o'clock, everybody.
Well.
Got the midday right now.